Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names, geeking candy ass, live in living color here with you only on the graveyard. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, tonight it's Grande's graveyard. And a first time ever for the graveyard. Yes, ladies and gents, usually I take you back in the old Mandalorian, the time machine. We at 88 miles per hour in this son of a gun, and we go back to the past and enjoy our favorite films from yesteryear. But tonight, I look no further than the calendar year of 2024. Yes, as far as we'll be going back, we're only going back a couple of months to January all the way up until now. Yes, because it's the halfway year point of the year, just about that, of the year 2024. And tonight, I'm going to discuss all of the horror movies that have come out in 2024 that I have personally seen. I will mention some of the ones that I didn't get a chance to see. I've not obviously seen every single fucking particular horror movie that has come out this year, but I have seen quite a few, and we'll also give a preview as to what's coming out, of course, from now until the end of the year in December. And of course, what is this whole state of the genre address thing that I'm going to be doing here tonight? I know people are probably like, what the hell? Well, that's an old Dead Pit show. Dead Pit used to do I'm talking 15 plus years ago, they used to do what they would call state of the genre address shows. And they would talk about what is the state of the horror genre right here, right now, in this particular year, date, and time. And that's something I kind of wanted to do because I've never done it before. I've never really looked at the particular year of horror and kind of analyzed it, talked about the films that come out on a week-by-week basis. And, that's what we're going to be doing here tonight. So if you have seen these films, get some popcorn, get a Mountain Dew, get a Baja Blast, get a Code Red, whatever the hell your preference may be. Kick back, relax, and let the Cemetery Man take you home on this fine Thursday evening only on the graveyard. Yes, ladies and gents, we are here. Let's get it. We got Joe Mama in the chat. All caps, let's go. Grande, Joe Mama. Little Ric Flair. Woo! Woo! Hell yeah. Joe Mama's in the house before we even went live. Here's AJ Zetro. Oh, shit. ... You got to have the dramatic dots. That seems to always get people going. We got Double H in the Heezy. Ahoy, ahoy! Solo and El Graveyard. Oh, yeah. We got to love it. Double H throwing out the Espanol here. We got Miss C in the house. Ciao, Grande, and Graveyardian fans. Wow, we had a lot of people here before I even went live. This must be an anticipated show, even though we only got 5 cats in the fucking kitties den here. We got Hey Hers, Hey AJ. Miss C. We got Ola, Miss C, and AJ, says Hearst. We got Ghostface Brett in the house. Yo, Ghostface Brett's in the heezy. AJ says Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Yeah, that's absolutely. I believe we are all the way live in a living color only on the graveyard. Yeah, no, you gotta have some fun intros. It rubs off. People, it sticks. Where is this guy? AJ, I was out in Hollywood, buddy. I was 2 minutes late. Sorry, forgive me. Hang me on a crucifix. LMAO. You think I was in the shitter? Buddy, I was not in the shitter. No. Probably practicing his rants for the new movies he watched. Yeah, I mean, we'll get there. What's up? Ghostface Brett, what's up, man? So I sat down. I was initially trying to figure out how I was going to do this. I was like, I don't want to rank them. I feel like that's kind of cliche. And then I was going to do in like release order. And I felt that was kind of boring too, because then you know what's coming next. So I figured, why not just jump around, play the song, jump around, boop, 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 jump around. Yeah, we could jump around tonight on Grande's Graveyard, and we could dive into some of these movies and discuss them. So everybody, I don't have anything to hold up for a chars, but I say we jump around in this son of a bitch, and we talk all things horrors of 2024 and the state of the genre address. That'll probably close the show, but let's dive into some of these movies. If you want to put in the comments or in the, of course, live chat, down below, which movies horror-wise were your favorites this year so far, which ones were the stinkers, your loves, your hates, whatever the hell. Missy wants the Wheel of Torture again. Honestly, I would literally have to pause the show. That would take me like another 15 minutes to set up, unfortunately. So we're just going to randomize, and I'm going to pick them, and we'll just go from there. So Brett says, jump. Let's jump around. Let's do it. So yeah, no, without further ado, let's get the old screen sharer up, and we're going to pick one to jump around to here. And you know what? This one's fresh in the brain. This one also has the word first in its title. So why the hell not start here first? Because this was one of the more positively reviewed movies. I would say this was the second most popular movie of this year so far, and definitely the second best from a reviewed standpoint, and a movie that seemed to surprise a lot of people. This was a movie that I don't think a lot of people had the highest of hopes for. A lot of people thought it was going to suck, and then it came out and kind of set the world on fire, at least within the horror review community. And of course, I am talking about a infamous prequel now to the legendary fabled Omen series. This is First Omen. Yes, First Omen from, of course, 2024, as are all of these movies. And I got a brief plot synopsis. A young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about a birth of evil incarnate. Yes, the First Omen. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you this. I never thought I'd like this. I mean, never. I like Omen 1. I like Damien Omen 2. I had no hopes for this. I don't think Omen 3 is particularly anything good. Omen 4 is laughably bad. And then the Omen remake, I think, sucks. So when I heard we're making the First Omen, it's however many years, almost 20 years since the remake. Like, can't we just let Omen be? Initially, I do think it was supposed to go direct to Hulu, but then it got enough buzz, got enough critical acclaim that they did give this a theatrical run. The movie was made for about a budget of 30 plus million, made close to 50 million. So it did not make a huge chunk of change, if it made anything, obviously with marketing costs and theater taking some of the money back. I don't know if this was really a hit. And in fact, it may have been a flop when it comes to a commercial standpoint here. But I will say that the movie surprised me on a lot of different levels. And I do think the star of this movie, Nell Tiger Free, yes, that's her fucking name. Nell Tiger Woods Breaking Free, Nell Tiger Breaking Free. I don't know what the hell you want to call her. But Nell Tiger Breaking Free was fucking great in this movie. She steals this movie and perhaps gives the best performance that I've seen all year in all of film thus far. It's her or a certain other actress we'll talk about later on the show. But I do think she is really great as the star lead of this movie, as she plays this woman who, of course, she does go to Rome. She's like trying to get entered into the nunhood, and she slowly but surely is garnered attached to this young girl that is there and kind of gets treated weird. All the nuns kind of treat her weirdly, whether they're mistreating her or treating her with kid gloves. She sort of takes a fascination to her. So what is it about this kid? What is it about this girl that all of them are kind of flocking to her like sheep? Very weird, very interesting. And of course, you learn throughout the film that this is a child that has the mark of the beast, the 666. And it's not on the back of her head. It's on the back of like the upper roof of her mouth. And we see that at some point. And it's a big, big spoiler alert. Granted, I didn't think this was very cleverly written. They're kind of trying to make it like, oh, this character that she meets, encounters, is a red herring, and that she's going to be the one to give birth to Damien. Whereas we know pretty much going in, it's going to be our lead. Like, I didn't really quite get why the writers tried to make that like some kind of big unveil, where I was like, I mean, I knew you were going to have the lead be the mother. Like, what, like, why did we go there? Very weird. And of course, there's the age old Miss C was talking with me about it and saying, you know what, this is bullshit. Before she saw the movie, she was like, this is bullshit. Damien's mom was a jackal. Like, if you watch the original Omen from 76, they go in the graveyard at a point, and not in Grande's graveyard, but in a graveyard, and they find the remains of the jackal that birthed Damien. So this movie really is kind of fucking with the lore. It doesn't really have any reason to exist other than cash grab, other than let's sell it with the Omen name. People will see it just because it has the word Omen in the title. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. And with that being said, you wouldn't think I like it at all. I actually thought it was quite decent. I really did. I mean, I thought the director did a really nice job. I want to get her name here. Arkasha Stevenson was the director here. This was a first-time feature-length film. I think she had done short films before this, but I thought she did quite a good job. I thought she captured an interesting enough atmosphere with this coven. I thought there were some interesting visuals, especially towards the third act with this fire, and it was all practically done. And I thought that she really kind of painted the lead and really did a good job to make it feel like she was going insane, losing her mind, and perhaps, you know, on the fence of like birthing this evil demonic thing known as Damien Thorn. I thought all that stuff was well done. Now, where it loses me a little bit is the writing. I don't think this is a particularly well-written film, and there's also some things where I just threw up my arms in disbelief. A lot of it being the gratuitous horror in this movie. And this is a problem that another movie that's very similar, Immaculate, had when it came to gratuity. Um, there's the scene that okay, let's homage the original. We have to homage the original, right? There's the nun in the courtyard. She's fucking acting weird towards the kid with the mark of the beast and, drawing weird pictures, inappropriate pictures. Then she's on the balcony. Oh my God. Have you seen this before? Do you remember when this happened in the original movie and in that shitty remake? Wow. She's standing with a noose on top of the building. Kind of rolled my eyes. Kind of was like, all right, whatever. Then I even rolled my eyes and was like, shook my head even more when she decides, I'm going to douse myself in fire, douse myself in gasoline, set myself on fire, and then hang myself while I'm on fire. Whoa, somebody stop these motherfuckers. They're too hardcore. I just can't handle the amount of hardcore. But somebody should have just been in the nun coven chanting, ECW, ECW. I mean, that's all it was missing. I just didn't. I was like, why? Like, okay, we have to homage the hanging scene in the original movie. What can we do to spice it up? Oh, I know. We'll literally spice it up. We'll set the bitch on fire. Just completely unnecessary, completely just like a circle jerk. I didn't like that at all. I thought that was actually the weakest scene in the entire film, where I shook my head. I was like, huh? Really? Also, there is a scene where they try to pay homage to Possession. Yes, the Possession with Isabelle Adjani and Sam Neill, where, of course, in that film, it's the miscarriage scene in the subway where Isabelle Adjani literally loses her mind and it looks like her soul leaves her body. If you've ever seen that movie, Possession from 1981, that great scene in the Germany subway station when Isabelle Adjani learns she's had a miscarriage of this mutant child, she just throws all the milk and the groceries. She throws and flops her body against the wall. She hits down. You have this beautiful, like 50-50 of green goo and blood kind of coming out, and until she screams and throws up all this horrible shit. That's one of my favorite scenes in horror's history, and Isabelle Adjani nails it. They try to homage it here, but instead of having a miscarriage, it's the character of Nell Tiger Free getting pregnant. And she's flopping all around the streets of Rome and overselling and trying to pay homage to Isabelle Adjani. Okay, Nell Tiger Free is great. She is great in the film. She's the absolute worth the price of admission alone to watch it. And I do think this is going to end up being performance of the year. I don't think I'm going too far in saying that with a horror movie, I guess. I just don't think you're barking up the right tree there. I don't. I mean, I get it. Okay, we're paying homage to a really, really great horror movie, but I don't know. I saw it and I kind of laughed. I was like, I mean, this has been done before. It's been done to perfection. I just wouldn't bark up that tree. That's just me, though. I didn't really care for that scene. Although I did see a lot of people that even like Possession say, oh my God, how cool is it that she fucking, paid homage to Possession there. Okay, whatever. If that floats your boat, that floats your boat. Didn't for me. I kind of like shook my head at that. But I will say again, I thought while maybe it had a slow first third, the last act of it really, really worked. It took off. And I mean, yes, there's some bad writing contrived. Like, okay, Damien, we're going to drop him off. Here's a picture of Gregory Peck in the fucking car. I don't know. This is a movie from a technical, I liked it. From an acting standpoint, I really liked it. From a writing perspective, though, I really don't think there's much here. In fact, I would say it's a under average writing. I don't care for the fucking writing in this. I thought this was really, really, really poorly written, and it could have been better. I really do think it could have been better. However, while I say it could have been better, it also could have been way worse. And I see that. I think this is a situation of The First Omen where the glass is truly half full. This is not a bad movie. This is not a below average movie. The glass is half full. I think this is like a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's solid enough just for the acting and technical alone. Like I said, could the writing have been better? Yes, but it also could have been worse. And then, of course, let's say you didn't have this director. Let's say you had some, Blumhouse Blumkin guy, the fucking Bumblefuck Joe directed this movie. It could have been way, worse. It really, really could have been. Of course, there's a couple of good side performances. Ralph Ineson plays one of the priests that's friendly with her. He was in The Witch as the father. Really good actor. Really cool to see him. I wish he was in it more, to be honest. I don't know. I think this movie definitely was an eye-opener, though, and definitely something that I underestimated, thought I was going to hate, and ended up thinking, okay, while it could have been better, it also could have been worse. And I think this is a situation where you have to take the glasses half full, because we don't get many prequels that are worth a shit. And I do think this is worth something. I don't know if it's a shit. I don't know if it's a pot to piss in. I don't know what exactly it is worth, but I do think it has value. So First Omen, a surprise, a definite surprise, a movie that I thought I was going to absolutely hate and utterly bury, but honestly, I don't think was half bad. I really don't. I think it was half glass full type of situation. But that's just me. Let's see what you all have to say. Ghostface Brett says, yeah, I had no hopes for this film, but I enjoyed First Omen. My favorite horror film I've seen this year, LMAO. Hey, man, that's cool. I definitely think it's up there. It's got to be up there with one of the better ones of the year. Slasher Fred's in the house. He says, if you ever watch one of the TV spots for the First Omen, it feels like a TV spot from the 70s. That's right. They tried to market it that way. Of course, if you have Hulu, I believe this is now free on Hulu streaming, so you can watch it that way. I don't have Hulu, but I just illegally downloaded it and watched it, I think, Monday night. So this is pretty fresh in the brain. And honestly, yeah, I really thought I was like, I'm going to be the one to say bullshit. And I will say this, there's a lot of people telling me this is a 9 out of 10. This is a great film. This is their favorite of the year, like Brett said. And I think somebody else in the comments when I posted the community tab was saying they loved the movie and was so excited to hear what I had to say. And I I'm sorry that I'm not as gung-ho for it. And I'm not as, wow, this is a masterpiece type of film. But I am with you in that it's good to watchable to, I would try it again. Like I would totally watch this again. I don't know if it's buy it on Blu-ray good, but it would definitely be something I'd give another shot. It wasn't poorly done from a technical standpoint. I definitely think the acting was good enough. Nell Tiger Free was tremendous in the movie. I really can't tell you enough about her performance. Anyone who follows me knows my doubts. I threw a downright fit, but I can deal with and accept the changes they made. I don't think I was wrong though for being mad they changed the origin story. And I don't think you're wrong either. Hey, listen, you're a big Omen. Like, it's funny. Missy is a big fan of the original. My friend Billy, one of my close friends, Billy, the original Omen's his favorite movie. Like when we did the Omen, when I covered that franchise, that's of course before this movie came out, that's his favorite horror movie, is the original Omen. So I thought if anyone would hate this and them fucking with the lore, it would be him. And again, he didn't love it, but he really, really was impressed that it wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to be. And in fact, kind of surprised him in that light. So I think that speaks a lot of volumes. Here's somebody that, for me, it'd be like them remaking Dawn of the Dead. For you, it may be them remaking Halloween or whatever the fuck, whoever is in the chat, whatever your favorite film ever is, them making a prequel to it and changing some of the stuff. I could see immediately how that could piss somebody off. And I probably would have been right there with you. I always liked the original Omen. I think it's a classic. I like Omen too. It wasn't a situation where I would have got upset personally, because I'm not just that hardcore into Omen, but I can't lie to you and say that this is a poorly made movie, because it's just not. I think it's very competently made, and I'm very excited to see what else this director has to move forward. I hope she goes into making original content. See, I'm all for a movie like this if it's a leap pad, if it's a launch pad for a up and coming good talent to show what they've got, use this palette, use this name to sell and get your name out there, and then make that big creative movie that's original and that's your own. I think that's where I look at this movie, as a glass half full situation as well, where the director could go on to bigger and better things. And I do think she will. I hope, though, they don't hand this lady the next Alien movie. I hope to God they don't hand her the sequel to the Exorcism movie with Russell Crowe that's coming out. I hope to God she gets something original, because she earned it here. And no, Tiger Free, I think if they play their cards right, I really do believe that she could be the next big star in Hollywood. I think she was that good in this movie, and I do think she has a distinct look. Not a lot of people look like her. But again, she got to have the right agent. She got to make the right choices. It's a lot of things have to go right. The stars sort of have to align. But when you have that talent, that cream tends to rise to the top a little bit more than not. So hopefully, Nell Tiger breaking free, Grande Tiger free, yeah, Tiger Woods. People laughing. Yeah, I agree. Definitely has flaws, but I definitely did enjoy it. I did too. I'll have to watch the first Omen, Omen 1 and 2 together as a trilogy. That's probably the best way to go about it. I would just ignore 3, 4 in the remake, and I would do first Omen, Omen, and Omen 2. I think those are definitely the Omen movies worth the shit. But again, I still would put Omen 1 and Omen 2 probably way over this. Hello, everyone. We got Aiden Paver in the Heezy. Is that Darth Vader on the first Omen poster? What's funny is this and Monkey Man came out the same day, and Monkey Man has the same exact like poster. It's just the fucking Dev Patel standing in the red doorway with his shadow. It's so bizarre, and they came out on the same day, April 5th. Both movies dropped, so really crazy. Haha, Aiden, I thought they were totally stealing from The Exorcist. Sure. I think that poster to the first Omen pays homage to the original movie. Yes, it does. That's true. I could definitely see Exorcist-inspired poster style, of course. We got Mateo's. Ciao, Grande. The present status of horror needs one of your rants. Hi to the whole Graveyard family. Well, we'll get to the state of the genre addressed at the end of this. But first Omen. No, I'm just kidding. First, though, everybody in Grande's Graveyard, wish this guy a happy birthday. Mateo Appendino, happy birthday, my friend. Last week it was Ghostface Brett. This week it's Mateo Appendino, one of our, of course, back-to-back weeks of diehard Grande's Graveyard supporters. Mateo, hope you had a wonderful day, man. Happy birthday. Shout out to you, my friend. Hope all is well, and I hope you had a nice day. And it's crazy. I think it's very humbling you're spending even a part of your birthday with us here. That's awesome. So thank you so much for that, man. But that is first Omen. I definitely recommend it. I definitely think it was a step in the right direction for this filmmaker. And I am interested in seeing what happens next with her. I am. Oh boy, though. All right, let's get into the most hated movie. And this is controversial. There's probably one of two movies that you could say was the most hated so far in the year of 2024. But I'll start here. I'll start with the one that dropped in January. I will start with the first horror movie of 2024. And for most people, their least favorite. I know there's Tarot is in conversation. I know Stranger Chapter 1, which we will talk about here tonight, is in conversation. But this one is Night Swim. Night Swim, of course, which is the horror movie that kicked us off of the new year. Brief plot synopsis. A family moves into a new home unaware that a dark secret from the house's past will unleash a malevolent force in the backyard pool. Yes. So the story of this, like how this movie came to be, is so interesting to me. Here was a guy, Bryce McGuire, who 10 years ago made a short. It was a 5-minute short called Night Swim, and it went viral on YouTube. It was a huge, huge, huge smash hit. You could watch the video on YouTube to this day for free. You would check the comments. People loved it. People adored it. People were like, keep up the great work. You know, we're excited to see what you do next. Of course, 10 years later, almost, 10 years later, the movie gets released, but 9 years later or so, of course, Jason Blumhouse must have come across the short, called this guy in, say, hey, how would you like the chance of a lifetime? How would you like to get the big budget to make this movie a theatrical, full-length feature film? That's so cool. As much as I don't like Jason Blumhouse, I really don't like hardly any of the fucking movies that he puts out. And this one is included. This is not a good movie either. But that's really cool for the filmmaker. That's so cool that this guy in 5 minutes on YouTube made enough of a buzz to get a call from this guy and get $1 million plus budget to make this feature-length film and get it released wide in theaters. And of course, they did Sacrificial Lamb it to January, but the movie did make money. This is a movie that almost made $50 million. So go figure. Okay. While that is cool, and the movie does star Kurt Russell's son. It stars Wyatt Russell as this baseball player who's dealing with an injury, and his family and he move into a new house. And it's basically like a PG-13 Amityville sequel, where instead of it's a cursed object like a mirror or a dollhouse or a clock, in this one it's the haunted swimming pool from hell. And it needs one body, basically, is the whole story. And you get this whole backstory on the movie and the pool and what's going on, stuff like that. I don't think it's the biggest piece of shit of all time. I don't even think it's the worst horror movie of this year. I really don't. I do not see this as the worst of the year. I don't. But it's nothing special. It's nothing good. It's really, really horror with no balls. This is horror with no balls, unfortunately. They PG-13 this. They literally, in a swimming pool horror movie, watered it down. They released it wide in January up against pretty much nothing. The movie did make a decent enough profit. This was also a 4DX movie, so you and your date could go see it in 4DX. I saw it at the time with my current girlfriend at that time. We saw this in the movie theater and both kind of like, shit, this kind of sucks. But it is what it is. It's one of those movies where it's like, I don't think this is a movie trying to be anything more than a PG-13 kind of tame horror movie. And I don't think it should have been perceived as anything more than that. Now it caused a riot. Like, people hated this and couldn't wait to bury this movie. And it almost got buried so much where I'm like, I've seen way worse than this. Like, I've seen way worse even this year than this. I don't know. I don't see this as the biggest piece of shit of the year. I think this is just tame kind of nothing horror, nothing really to run home about. Decent enough performance. They try to have enough family drama in there. Wyatt Russell's okay in the movie. The horror in your horror movie just completely fails pretty much in all aspects. It tries, but it's really not effective. But I do think, like I said, it is cool that this guy got to make his feature-length film. They gave him a nice budget, and 10 years later, he got to, give it a crack at Hollywood. And obviously the poor critical success, may hinder him from making any future, movies with Blumhouse or future movies that are going to get wide release. But I do think it's cool for somebody who did that. Like, I try to put myself in that shoes where it's like, okay, let's say 10 years from now, somebody called me and said, Grande, we'll give you the feature-length budget to do Down by the Bay as a feature movie. I mean, that would be the coolest thing ever. And I do kind of feel bad for this guy that he get to live his dream and then everybody's just shitting on him in the movie and his dream. And I feel sympathy here. I do. I don't think this guy was pretentious. I think this was just a movie that, it is what it is. And I think some people just really, really beat it down to its knees. Unnecessarily so. Not the biggest piece of shit, but it's not a good film either. It's quite weak. It's quite gutless, soulless, and unfortunately ballless. So that is Night Swim. Let's see what the chat has to say. Probably not the greatest things about this movie. Everyone wishing Mateo a happy birthday. Awesome. Thank you all. Awesome. Miss C says, ugh, this one stank for me. I'm the only one. No, you're not the only one. You are definitely in the majority. I don't know anyone who liked this. I've not heard one person say they liked this. Okay, this one sucks. LMAO, Night Swim was just so dumb for me. It sucks. It's not a good film. I agree with that. The behind-the-scenes stories of Night Swim is so much better and interesting compared to the final film. It is. It really is. It's like I think it's a nice story. Like, that's so cool. Like, he's probably so gung-ho and so wanting to make an effective horror movie. The PG-13 didn't help. I think it's constrained. I think they needed to let him go R-rated and really make it kind of extreme, because a concept like this, it's going to get eye rolls. The January horror thing, okay, the January horror, they're dumping it the first week of the year. It's shit. Like, they really, I think, almost like set it out there to die. And it made a lot of money. I mean, for this movie to make $47 million is actually astonishing. This made more than Late Night with the Devil. This made more than Strangers Chapter 1. This made more than Sting. This made more than Stop Motion. This made more than Immaculate. This made almost as much, I think, if not more than First Omen. So, I mean, who's to say? I know it was critically a flop, but commercially, shit, it made money. I see, okay, so Hearst Hill would see a part 2. So interesting, maybe Hearst Hill likes it. Hi, John in the chat. Good brother Tom is in the house. Welcome, my friend. Hope all is well with you. Oh, I don't think it's the worst either. I really don't. I don't think it's the worst. I don't, but I do think it's weak. There's nothing. It's a one-time watch, if that. I would never rewatch this. I really, really wouldn't. I don't know. Night Swim for the birds that are into PG-13 horror with just not much to run home about for it, unfortunately. But let's move on into the opposite category. Let's move on to something that was very highly praised and probably most people's favorite of the year. And of course, I'm talking about none other than Late Night with the Devil. Yes, Late Night with the Devil, of course, from this same year. Brief plot synopsis. A live television broadcast in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. Yes, Late Night with the Devil, of course, directed by Cameron and Colin. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this. Carenes? I'm not sure. Of course, it does star David Dastmalchian, of course, as this lead character who is a late night talk show host who goes by the name of Jack Delroy. And basically, he is this guy who's always been second in the ratings. He's always been second to Johnny Carson. And the movie opens and is a big tribute and homage to the late night talk shows of the late 1970s bleeding into the early half of the 80s. All these, Carson and Letterman and Leno. And it has that kind of look to it where it's looking distinctly like a late night 70s talk show. And of course, the movie kind of plays out where we're watching the Halloween special episode, and basically it starts off kind of normal, natural, nothing really going on, and escalates and escalates and escalates to this kind of finale where everything kind of goes crazy. Everyone loved this, and I know this got a limited run and then got such a positive feedback that they released it wider, and more people got to see this in the theater, including me. I did get to see this in the theater. I went to see it with Mama Grande, actually. And while I, again, think this is a glass half full situation, I do think this is a solid movie. I don't know if it warranted the overwhelming appraisal that it got. I think it's still quite good, but I don't know if it's quite there. I don't know if it's quite on that level. I do think it's slightly overrated, while at the same time still being a solid movie on its own 2 feet alone. Of course, like I praised Nell Tiger Free before, I'll do the same exact thing here with David Dastmalchian. He's great as the lead, Jack Delroy. He's great. They give this really interesting backstory where his wife died of cancer, and you get the idea that maybe he was a part of this cult and maybe sold his soul or something like that to, of course, beat Carson in the ratings, and then, of course, the consequences that come with that. And I thought the idea of this movie was almost better than the movie itself. I thought that part of it was really, really good. I liked the whole, I know people say, oh, it's just like, I think, what was it, Ghost Watch or Night Watch? It's very similar to, I think it's Ghost Watch, which was a Britain film in like the early 90s. People say it's very similar to that. Fair enough, but I do think this was original enough in and of its own way, a really good idea that seemed to really catch on and kind of catch a lot of eyes. We have this act from a sidekick person. We have an act from a guy that doesn't, this is all bullshit. This is all illusion. We have this singer. We have all these people and players that, would be a part of a late night talk show. And we followed the entire show. It's basically, we get the commercial breaks. We get some of the behind the scenes footage, which is done in black and white, and some of the interesting conversations that he has with the producers. What's going on? What the hell? I don't know, but we got to keep this going. The ratings are up. That stuff worked. I liked that. I thought all the acting here was solid enough. The first 2/3 of it, the first hour of it, I would say, really is a good throwback and worth watching and solid. Where it lost me was the final act of it. I really didn't care for the third act of this movie, and I thought it actually was a situation where you were so going good, and then the train kind of came off the tracks for me. And what do I mean by that? Okay, the entire movie, we're driving home, hammering home, and delivering the 70s aesthetic. The look, the grain, the feel, the whole, I know they used artificial intelligence to do the, we'll be right back on Night Owl, whatever. I know people had a big problem with that. There was a big, big controversy over the AI using, the we'll be right backs. I thought that was cool, personally. That didn't bother me at all or hinder the film. We're on that trail for about an hour. And then they do this whole thing where the ending happens, and this one sequence where there's this guy with pulling worms out of his stomach, and then there's the little girl who was a part of the cult that David Dastmalchian was part of, and she gets possessed and fucking starts killing everybody. One guy, it looks like his neck gets electrocuted. One guy flies off like all the deaths become like these really bad, over the top CGI, just barf show. I just didn't really understand why. Okay, we went authentic 70s, and then in the last act, it was like, all right, let's throw CG at it. I just thought it completely took and derailed the finale. I was like, why would you go here if you were just following this particular formula all the way to this point? I didn't really care for that. And then the ending, I feel like, kind of went a little bit up its own ass a little bit, like a little bit almost like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like David Dastmalchian, by the end, he sees himself in bed and he's in a similar white room to 2001. I didn't really understand. I was like, what the heck? What? Like, I thought the ending of this just really collapsed. An otherwise really good movie. I really, really believe that. Again, glass half full, solid, like maybe 5.5. I would say this is like a 5.5. Maybe on its best day, it's a 6. Because I liked the first 2/3 of it, and I thought it was entertaining enough. Of course, this is mainly a dialogue-driven movie. But it's funny, the parts where it's dialogue-driven worked. The parts where it became action-filled and you get your horror and your CGI squibs, that's when I thought it kind of collapsed. I thought it collapsed in on itself. I really didn't care for the third act of this movie, and I thought it was definitely a letdown of a third act. Now, I'm happy that something got praised. This movie has over a 7 on IMDb. People loved this. People saying this is their favorite of the year. This should be, it's going to be remembered for forever and all that. I don't know. I don't know if it warrants that type of love, but I do think it's worth a watch. I do think it's solid enough. I think this is good. This is one where if you listen to the hype, it may ruin it for you. I don't feel like I am in that boat. I know it got a lot of hype. I didn't go in there thinking, wow, I'm going to really love this. Like, I kind of went into it open-minded, and I liked the first hour. I just think there's a situation where people really loved this, and that's great that a majority really got into it. I do think it's worth a damn. I do. I think this is something that you should watch. I do. This is on Shudder for free, I believe, at this time, and I do think it's worth a watch, even if it kind of came off the rails at the end. But still, not a bad movie in the slightest. Late Night with the Devil looks like it was an homage to the 1970s movie. Of course, yeah, that's definitely what it was going for, the late night 70s talk show aesthetic. Didn't hate Late Night with the Devil. I just hated the special effects. The effects were... I agree. I think the CG in the end was really, really bad. Like what the hell? Like, I was with you all this way. And then some of the way they kill these people off, and I was like, what? Like what? Like, why did you go here? And it really made the film feel cheap. And I know this was a low-budget picture. I know this was a Shudder production. They don't have a lot of money in Shudder. Watch the Creepshow series they do. While I like a lot of those episodes, they're cheap. They're cheaper. They're not big-budget films. They're just not. Why expose that? Why not accentuate the positives and hide the negatives? And they did it for so long. I guess it just kind of frustrated me when they went there. I was like, oh, like what? Like, it just could have easily been, a stare down and then somebody faints and a little blood comes out of the nose. Like, you absolutely, I think, should have like hit the brakes there. A lot of movies we'll talk about too. Immaculate's another one. I think just their third acts, like what is up with the gratuity in third acts, man? When you play it mostly straight and kind of by the numbers for the first hour, I don't understand. Then okay, now we'll throw the gore at them. I don't know. It didn't really. Maybe for a slow burn that works, but for a film that's kind of going for that 70s aesthetic, it was taking me so far out of it once it felt like, okay, now it just looks like a cheap Shudder Creepshow episode, and I don't really care for the ending. I don't know. No, my mom does not like horror. I was going through the break, a really horrible place in my head at the time. I was like, I'm just going to go to the movies and see this. And my mom was like, I'll come with you. So it was that type of situation. Didn't see this one in the theater. I thought this one was overrated. I thought the first 50 minutes or so really good, but it goes off a cliff. I love the lead actor, though. He was terrific. He was terrific. He really, really was. He's, of course, the polka dot man and the Suicide Squad. Other people might remember him from The Dark Knight. He's the schizophrenic. Really good actor. I think he's great. I really, really like him in the role, and I thought he had a fun time with it, and he sold being the host good. He's great. He's, again, just like Nell Tiger Free is worth the price of admission alone to see First Omen. I thought David Dastmalchian was the same here. It's just, even for his performance alone, it's worth the watch. Like, even if you hated the movie, gave it a 3 out of 10, his performance is worth a few points. Like, he's really, really, really tremendous in it. I like it for a 2024 great movie. Crescendo was good, and the original story, kudos for that. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very fair review. I think it's just so many are like, I love it. I love it. It's the best thing ever. That's kind of turning some people away. And I don't think I'm in that camp, but I do think it is fairly overrated. I think I like it too, though. Like I like the movie. I will watch the movie again. I maybe in October. I think this would be a fun October watch, being that it takes place on Halloween night. Who knows? Maybe I'll pop this one in October, give it another look. Maybe I'll find something a little bit better in it this time. I don't know. But I definitely think it is, again, a passable, solid enough horror movie that I did enjoy as well. Those last few minutes, though, yeah, it became a little bit pretentious at the end, at least in my eyes. I when it started getting to the 2001, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what? How did we get here? Like, okay, I hate to do this, but if I'm booking this, I would have easily made a simpler change to this, and I think it would have worked way better. So brief special guest booker was John Grande. I personally, I keep the first hour the same, and then of course you can keep all that batshitness, craziness in the end. You can have a whole thing where he sold his soul to the devil, or at least he tried to, and the devil said no. The devil said, "I'll take your wife, and then I'll give you the beating Carson in the ratings gimmick." And then, of course, his wife gets terminally ill. He has to pretend the entire time that he's really heartbroken over this. He tries to use her as a rating. And then, of course, we see the true colors of this guy. This guy let his own wife die just to make a deal with the devil, just to beat Johnny Carson in the ratings. How dark is that? How evil is that? How maniacal is that? How sick and disturbed is a person to do that if they want to beat somebody, if they want to be a number one? There can only be a number one guy. There can only be one guy on the top. And sell out your own wife to do that, I thought would have been a very interesting way to go. And then, of course, the end, him kind of living throughout hell, maybe like a Twilight Zone like ending where he has to repeat all of this forever and ever and ever, or he goes through this and gets tortured forever and ever and ever. I think something like that would have been a much better way to end this, as opposed to like the very, I don't know, I just thought it was very, I just rolled my eyes at the ending of this movie. I was like, this is too Shakespearean, and it's just, I don't know, I think it went way too far. I don't think this works as a feature-length project. It would have been great VHS segment though, or something like that. That's fair. It did work for an hour, so maybe it even would have worked as like an hour-long episode of an anthology. Really, really like the mass hypnosis scene. Okay, so that was up into the worms. I'm with you. Well, if you watch the movie on VHS, Brett, you would see the side images cut out. No, I meant this segment. Oh, okay. That scene with the worms made me bust up laughing. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. That didn't work for me either. This sounds like it should have been a VHS segment. It could have been. It totally could have been. You would have had to cut a lot of it out. I don't know. I really don't know if that would have worked. I think what they had here worked. It's solid. It is solid and it's passable, and I think it's worth a watch. Man, the ending. Oh man, I walked out of the theater like, oh man, they had something here. I'm with Mateo on Late Night. Good movie with a great idea. Yeah, I would agree with that too. I'm with the three of you. I'm with the two of you. I think it's a good movie. Great idea. The idea and the concept and the acting is better than the movie itself almost. I get Shudder is low budget, but I'm assuming CGI would have been more expensive than going practical. Not necessarily. When you could use really cheap CGI fast, that's what they did here. It blatantly shows. I don't know. I don't know if this really needed special makeup effects at the end. Like, I don't think you needed this whole grand, craziness. Like, I wouldn't know. I don't know if I would have I would have played it simple, because the rest of the fucking movie played it simple. So I didn't really get going there. But man, maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Would you consider this a found footage movie? I wouldn't. I know I've heard people call it mockumentary. I've heard that. I've heard, I haven't heard found footage. I don't know. It's more mockumentary than it is found footage to me, but it has elements. I don't know. I thought it was definitely worth a watch, whatever you want to consider it. Oh, I definitely think the first 2/3 are very solid, but the third act, bad. Yeah, I'm with you. But again, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, man. I'll take 2 out of 3. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Cinephile Sanity. Sean is in the house. What's going on, Sean? Hope all is well with you. As we close the door on the Late Night to the Devil. And let's talk about one that got a lot of praise, and I didn't really see the praise to be had here. This was, of course, I think either late March or sometime in April release. This is, of course, from I Love These Guys. Radio Silence, who of course did the last two Scream movies, which everyone knows I love the last two Scream movies. This is Abigail. Abigail, brief plot synopsis. After a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, they retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they've locked themselves inside with no normal little girl. Yes, Abigail. This movie gets a lot of good reviews. I don't know why. I didn't like this at all. And maybe it's just because of who directed it. I just could not get into this movie. I don't know. But man, where do we even start with this? Well, first off, it does star the legendary Melissa Barrera, who I made fun of in all the Scream rants, whatever. All googly eyes herself. She's the lead in this. And this has been a night where I praised acting. I really like David Dastmalchian. I really like Nell Tiger breaking free. Melissa Barrera has no talent as a lead actress. This is going to sound really mean, and I don't mean it to, but it's how I feel. I truly think she might have had sex with someone to get this part. Like, to get the leading role she gets, I don't know, man, but I just, there is no talent with her. Where's the talent? She has no personality. She has no charisma. She has no oomph. She's just a fucking piece of wood. Oh my God, I really have a hard time watching her try to lead a film. It's actually to the point where I'm like, holy shit, how did you get the job? Like, I swear to you, I started thinking that about halfway through this movie. I'm like, how did you get the job? I would love to know the answer to that question. She apparently fucking signed a big 3-picture deal with them, and she's going to be in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Guillermo, get the fuck out of here, Guillermo. Guillermo, run your fat fucking ass and get another actress. Go get Nell. Call up Nell Tiger Free. Hey, Nell Tiger breaking free. Come for my Frankenstein movie. We're gonna fucking fire this Melissa bitch. Oh, terrible. She is absolutely one of the worst lead actresses of all time. There's no doubt. But let's get into the movie itself. But she's the worst thing in it, but for sure. We have a bunch of criminals that kidnap a rich man's daughter that apparently none of them have done enough research about to know that they're fucking kidnapping Dracula's daughter. Spoiler. Yeah, that's supposed to be a big shock in this movie, even though the plot synopsis basically gives it away. A big, great, fabled underground figure. I wonder who that's going to fucking be. They kidnap her. They have her like handcuffed and blindfolded. They're all a bunch of idiots. You have the getaway driver. You have the hacker. You have the muscle. You have Dan Stevens, who's much better than anybody in this movie and shouldn't even have fucking showed his face. He should fire his agent like fucking Dakota Johnson did. He's in it. Melissa's the fucking lead. And you have all these idiots, and they're in a mansion for 2 hours, and basically we're going to get a $7 million payday. All we have to do is make it till morning. And of course, the twist is they've kidnapped no normal, ordinary little girl. They've kidnapped Abigail, who is secretly a vampire ballerina. And my God, this movie just sucks. I'm sorry. This is not a good film. It's just, I just could not get into this. They try that Scream humor. They try to apply that kind of like Neo element to this movie that just doesn't work at all. They try to make the characters somewhat likable. There's a terrible scene where Melissa Barrera goes and like looks at them, and because she's such a good judge of character, knows everything about them. Oh, your dad, you hate your father. Oh, you're a fucking sissy, you're here for this. She goes and doesn't know anything about them, but by looking at them can tell all of their traits. And meanwhile, she is a person that went on and abandoned her son, and yet wants to do this for him and wants to make amends and make peace with her son, as one by one they're picked off by this vampire. Now you're probably thinking, okay, well, are the death scenes worth the shit if they're getting picked off by this vampire? 2 of them are off screen. They learn nothing from these Scream movies where there's kill scenes. There's 2 of them are off screen. One of them is not even by, and the other 2 of them are not even by Abigail. Like, it's just a mess. Like, what an absolute mess. And I don't understand how this movie cost $28 million, because the entire thing has maybe 7 to 8 to 9 actors in it. I don't even think there's 10 actors in this movie. All in a mansion, the entire movie. How did this cost $28 million? You shot the whole thing in the same fucking location with 8 people. And you can't tell me Melissa's a star and, oh, we had to pay Melissa a big boat of money. I bet you she got the biggest payday out of any of them, and I don't think she deserved it. I mean, I can't imagine where the $28 million is on the screen. I can't. There's not enough practical or effects, period, to warrant that type of money. There's not enough actors. There's only one real location in the entire thing. I don't know. I really thought this was just quite bad. I don't think those radio silence directors have progressed. I think they've digressed. Of course, I always liked the VHS segment they did. It was the Halloween night segment, funny enough. I liked that. I thought that was really good. And I thought, wow, they're going to do good things. And of course, Devil's Due, I know a lot of people blame the studio, but then look at what they've done. I mean, they make these terrible Scream movies. And now this is their, we're not going to do Scream 7. We're going to do this. This is horrible. Like, oh God, I didn't like this at all. I mean, they try to pay homage to Dracula throughout it. Like they play the, they play that song in the opening scene as she's dancing. Whatever. I don't know. This was just such a flat movie for me. I did not like it, did not care for it, did not find it funny, entertaining, scary. I don't know. Just these filmmakers really, I think they need a break. I really do. I think they need a fucking break and to just try a different style because I don't like the tone in their movies. I think that's maybe the biggest thing is the tone. Like imagine if you make this movie and played it seriously. Oh, yeah, that's right. They did it already. It's called fucking Livid. Livid is basically a better version of this movie. If you've seen Livid, Livid is a French film. It was, of course, the sophomorial effort from the directors that did Inside. Let me explain to you the plot of Livid and tell me if it does sound familiar to this movie. There's a bunch of fucking criminals that want a bunch of fucking money. Instead of kidnapping the vampire in this movie, they break into the vampire's house. And the vampire's house they break into is a mansion, just like a mansion in this movie. Oh, also, the fucking person's house they break into was a ballerina teacher. This is a ballerina student child. And they're all in it for the money, and they get picked off one by one by this spooky vampire lady. Wow. You fucking blatantly ripped off Thirst. And you did it in a horrible fucking way because you didn't take yourself seriously. It was all fucking joke. Let's have this big muscly guy. I'm this big muscly guy. I'm a fun-loving, big muscly guy. Somehow this fucking guy can hold down a fucking succubus and this lady is like Superman strength. Whatever. Fucking horrible that all the characters in this, Catherine Newton's character, were you looking at me? I wasn't looking at you like nothing. What? Like what? Like, oh God, what terrible characters. I don't understand what they're going for. Like the fucking goofiness, it's just a joke. You got $28 million and you made something like this. Like I'm shame. It's fucking shame. It really is. Thirst, you want to see this movie done right and scary and building tension and dread and actually delivering horror in a horror movie. You have it with Thirst. Not Thirst. I'm sorry. Livid. Watch Livid. Livid's awesome. This is just, it may be Thirst for Livid, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think this was funny. I didn't think it was scary. I didn't think it worked. I just really think this is one of the weaker ones I saw this year. Definitely one of my more disliked. I don't know if it is the worst. It's probably not, but it's up there. I didn't like this at all. Abigail is just a stinker to me. Didn't like it at all. Grande, do you remember when you met Melissa? Oh, gosh. Yeah, Ghostface Brett superimposed my face on a picture of Melissa Barrera, and, like, people thought it was real. And I was like, oh, my God, imagine. Joking, obviously. Of course. I watched the new Omen a few nights ago. It was an okay movie, but I didn't really feel like an Omen movie. That's fair. I gave it, like, a 6.5 out of 10. That was the first one I reviewed tonight. I thought it was definitely solid. I don't know. That's an interesting point that it didn't feel like an Omen movie, even though people do die in like the kind of, I always say it's almost like Final Destination type of death scenes in it. That was there, but it really wasn't trying to tell that story. It was really trying to tell the whole story of this woman that, you know, obviously is going to birth this evil. So it's definitely a different type of story for an Omen movie. So that's understandable, but anyway, no, not at all. I don't know. It just more frustrating. I don't even know if this movie's worth a rant. It's just like Grande drum roll, yeah. Abigail was very mad to me. Oh, it came out and that Melissa got a role in Screen 5 without auditioning makes you wonder. Did that real? Oh, man. So she got that role without auditioning. Very fucking interesting. Got the lead role in a major slasher franchise that made $100 million fucking dollars. Very interesting. I don't know. I don't see any talent. I think she is nails on a chalkboard. Like, I cannot stomach her acting. She is truly terrible. Terrible. And I really will defend a lot of the acting in these movies. This is not a year where I've seen a lot of bad acting, but it's easily, I mean, the golden raspberry goes to her in this. I thought she was terrible. She can't lead. She is just not a lead, in my opinion. Abigail looks like something where in Home Alone, what if Harry and Marv had kidnapped Kevin and found out he was more dangerous than they were? I've heard people make the Home Alone comparison. I think it's livid. I think it's totally livid if it was done like with neo humor and modernized and just didn't take itself seriously enough. Like, I don't know. I think the tone of this movie killed it for me. There are some people though that will like this. Like, and a lot of people did. A lot of people liked it. Like they liked Ready or Not. They liked, something like You're Next or something. And this movie, while it bombed commercially, it got critical praise. So people really liked Abigail. I'm just not in that ballpark. I thought this was one of the weaker ones. I would love to see Dan Stevens in a Quentin Tarantino film. Dan Stevens deserves a lot better than this movie. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, man, like, you got a fire agent, man. Like, what the hell? Like, he's probably the best actor in it. But again, like, was that, I mean, compared to all the other pieces of wood in the house that you're playing against, what does that really say? Oh, it bombed terribly, El Mayo. It sucks because it could have been great, but it was just very mad to me at the end of the day. I'll watch it. Hey, man, I recommend, if you think this could have been great, watch Livid. That's this movie done great to me. Like, it's the same movie, but it's actually taking itself serious as a fucking horror film, and it's actually a terrifying movie. This, I was like, oh man, this is so dumb. Like, I don't know. I thought this was a rather dumb film. I agree with RS. Their best ever thing was that first segment in the VHS. They're never going to reach those heights again. Oh, they've never reached those heights again. They need to surround themselves with different talent. That's possible. Maybe it's the talent around them, because nobody acting in this movie was really, other than Dan. Abigail versus Dracula 3D. What are you picking? Abigail is at least had a budget. I don't. Dracula 3D is a horrible movie, man. I can't defend Dracula 3D. John Twist of Abigail gave me From Dusk Till Dawn vibes, although Abigail is nowhere near as legendary as From Dusk Till Dawn. Well, Abigail is not nearly as legendary as fucking anything, really. The junkie can tell everyone their bad habits, can't figure out they kidnapped Dracula Jr. Yeah, oh, God, don't even get me started. This movie stinks. Only John Steele is in the house. John Steele, hope all is well with you, buddy. Texas THC checks in. Hey, all. What's going on? Let's see. We got Juno 2000. Hey, Grande, I just finished my stream. Abigail, I enjoy, but I do find Melissa Barra a bad actress and a D. Okay, well, that's fine. People saying hi. Texas on the next stream. Praying Mantis all the way. Dude, all right, fair enough. Dracula 3D over this. I did like Kevin Durant and Abigail. I wish he and Dan Stevens were the only stars. Yeah, I don't know. I would love to know. I really would love to know the breakdown of how the $28 million that went into making this was spent. You have an uneventful film in a mansion. Like, where did that money go? He went down the toilet because nobody went to go see this shit. Oh, God, I don't know. Abigail stinks. Abigail's one of the weakest for me. I did not care for this at all. I really, really didn't. Let's get into two that I haven't seen. Actually, no, let's do one more I have seen, and then we'll get into a couple that we haven't seen here, because there's always going to be ones in years that you haven't seen. But let's get into one I did see. And, of course, this was at the request of Ghostface Brett. I had no urge to see this, but Brett begged and pleaded, and I did see this on opening night in an empty theater by myself. Yeah, that happened here. This was perhaps the most pointless movie of the year, and I don't think the weakest either, but damn, it was not the greatest. This is The Strangers, Chapter 1. Brief plot synopsis for this one. After their car breaks down in an eerie small town, a young couple is forced to spend the night in a remote cabin. Panic ensues as they are terrorized by three masked strangers who strike with no mercy and seemingly no motive. Yes, The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, this is an interesting behind-the-scenes stuff, too, where whoever owns the rights to Strangers, they wanted to make a $30 million movie or so, 25 plus, whatever. And they met around. They were like, okay, we got to pick a director. They picked Rennie Harlan, who I do like. I like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. I really like Mindhunters. I really have always sort of liked The Long Kiss Goodnight. I like Rennie Harlan. I think more so than not, I like his films. Now, he's made some stinkers. Driven is one of them. I was like, okay, Rennie Harlan, that's interesting. He hasn't really made anything worthy in like 20 years. That's an interesting choice as the director. And instead of making one $25 to $30 million film, they said, let's fucking fly to Slovakia. We'll cut the budget in a third for each movie. We'll make each movie for $8.5 million. And we'll try to make a big problem. We'll make it into a trilogy and shoot them all at the same time over like 50 days. So that's what they did. They went out and shot this movie during the day, the second movie during the afternoon, the last movie during night. And they did that for almost 2 straight months in a foreign country. And of course, they got Madeline Petch to be the lead girl in all 3. Spoiler alert, she's going to be the lead girl in all 3 of them. They've already told you that. So it's not a spoiler. It's Madeline Petch from Riverdale, who I know Ghostface Brett loves. And she is an attractive lady, has a great body. I don't really understand the idea there. Like, okay, let's make each movie for $8.5 million. Let's make them all at the same time. Let's edit them all at the same time. Then we'll hold off on the release dates. I don't really understand doing that. Like, okay, that's something that these movies did. Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 did this in the late 80s. They shot them back to back because they only had like $1 million, and most of it went to the second film. That's why the third film does look a little cheaper. They're running out of money. That was then. That was that situation. 3 weeks for each movie. This, I don't really feel, you had like $25, $30 million. You could have went and made one good Strangers reboot and then went from there if that was a big hit. But instead what they did was, okay, we'll cut it into 3. We'll make a trilogy out of it. We'll milk this shit until we can't milk it no more. And that's basically was the idea behind this. Now, the hate that this movie has received, the overwhelming hate. This is, if it's not Night Swim, it's this movie for most people for worst of the year. And I don't see that. I mean, this is by no means a good movie. And it's easily the most pointless movie that's been made because it makes no sense to basically remake Strangers 1, whereas the first movie I thought sucked anyway. You remake it, you change odd things like okay, this time the town may be in on it. We're hinting at that. Of course, we'll know in the other 2 sequels if they were in on it or not. You have the fucking sound design is not silent like in the first movie. In this movie, we're going to pump in music. Okay. Like shot for shot, some of the stuff just weird and pointless. I don't really understand why you wouldn't just start the story over if you're going to do a trilogy. Instead, they were like, okay, we'll start with remaking the first movie, and then the next 2 movies will be our own vision. This was a really, really, really bad foot to kind of start off on for me. And even if you don't like the first Strangers movie, which I don't, I still think, if you don't like the first Strangers movies, you'll see this as completely generic and kind of bland. There's nothing to this movie. And if you like the first Strangers, you'll hate this. And I think that was the consensus. I think to some people, that first Strangers movie is truly beloved and people really were excited for this. And then, they basically just got a limp remake, which does pretty much everything inferior, even to a movie that I don't like already, except I will say the acting's better here. I think if you like, I don't like Scott's speed bag. Never liked Liv Tyler. Like the way Mateo feels about Asia Argento, I feel about Liv Tyler. I can't look at Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler's terrible. Madeline Petch is good to look at, and she can act. And the other guy, Floyd Gutierrez, they're fine as a couple. I thought they were a better couple than the couple in the original. And, oh, you didn't say yes to my engagement. I got down on a knee at the fucking party, and now I'm here, and that fucking friend has to pick me up, and I shot him in the fucking face with a fucking shotgun. Oh, Liv, I'm sorry. Oh, we're all tied to the chair at the end. Oh, will you marry me? Of course I'll marry you. I'm a fucking bitch. We're going to die anyway. Fuck you. I still hate that. But the Strangers one stinks. It is a horrible piece of shit. And this is really no exception. It really isn't. This is, oh, I've been waiting 5 years for you to put a ring on my finger. And at the end, will you marry me? Yeah, of course I'll marry you. Oh, God, fucking cry. Fuck you and your alligator tears. Come on. Come the fuck on. Come on. Come over there. It's pointless. You're remaking a film that already sucked and you somehow did it worse. Rennie trying to fucking make this. I've seen slasher movies. I made a Nightmare on Elm Street 4. No, what? Like, yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 had imagination. It had colors. It had innovation. It had characters that, grew. I'm a daydreamer. And then by the end, she's an ass kicker and takes all the traits of her friends that have died before her in order to beat the big bad wolf. Welcome to Wonderland, Alice. I'm going to kick your candy ass all over Dreamland, bitch. And that's what happens. I love that movie. What the fuck was the point of copying, and pasting 80% of this with better actors? Okay, there is better acting in this. Rob the fucko. Should I go over here and give you a standing ovation? Okay, that's your one positive. Your one positive is you have better acting. Great. But you have these stupid, okay, the town might be in on it. Whoa, there's some tension in a diner scene. There's some tension where the guy goes out to get a fucking veggie burger in the fucking middle of the fucking nowhere. What stationery has a veggie burger? A bunch of shit. You have fucking I saw somebody in the house. I saw somebody in the house. Oh no, you're just high. You saw a painting. What? They fucking have a fridge. Are your refrigerator running? No. Oh, you better go turn this shit off. The refrigerator is not running. So they decide to call the handyman. Hey, Mr. Handyman, it's 3 a.m. I have 6 beers that are not on ice. Could you come and fix my refrigerator? And they fucking shoot the handyman, the refrigerator repairman who apparently makes house calls at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning with his fucking hot dog in one hand, his fucking toolbox in the other, and a fucking thumb up his ass. That's what? Just some of the stupidest shit. Like, what? Like, what a weird... Like, okay, it is stupid in the original where the fucking friend, I'll come pick you up, bro. I'm drunk. It's 4:30 a.m. and it's still dark. I'll come pick you up, bro. He's shot. Then this one, okay, the fucking refrigerator's not running. I have 6 beers. We're leaving here in the first crack of the cracking morning, but we need these beers to be fucking cold. So let's call this fucking refrigerator repairman out of bed and shoot him in the fucking head, because why not? And then you have this weak sequence in the woods where they have the killers killed. And of course, I'm going to fucking shoot you, bitch. You know something? They say your first kill's the hardest, but your fucking this is my second kill, talks up a storm. Eventually you're waiting for him to get knocked the fuck out. He does. And then they recreate why are you doing this? Because you were home. And instead of because you were home, it's because we can, or something like that. Yeah, because you want to milk us, because you want our money. That's because. Because why? Because you want our fucking money and you're going to try to charge us 3 times for it. That's all it is. It's pointless. It's pointless. You want to see a fucking movie that does the technical worse than the first movie, even if that movie sucks? Here it is. It's cut, copy, and paste. It's weak. It's bad. I don't hate it because I already hate the first one. Like, I really do. I already hate the first Strangers. So I didn't go into this thinking, oh my God, I'm excited. I went into this thinking, this is going to suck too. And it did. But people, I don't know why some people fucking freaked out with this movie and thought it was the biggest piece of shit of all time. No, it's not that bad. It's not. It's just generic. Might be the most generic of the bunch. So if generic horror offends you, yeah, you're going to get fucking offended. A ballless, pointless, disappointing, whatever, if you're a fan of the original, yeah, it's all those things too. It's just weak. It's just weak. It's not nothing to run home about. It's nothing to go out there and see. The movie did make over $30 million. So yeah, on a budget of 8.5, yeah, it made its chunk of change back, and they're going to release the second one in theaters sometime, probably in October is what it is. I don't know. I would say, if there's any positive, it's the lead actress and Floyd. I think the lead 2 actors do a good job. The horror in the movie doesn't work. The technical in the movie doesn't work. It's beat for beat. If you've seen The First Strangers, you've seen this, and you've seen it done slightly better from a technical. I do think Bertino did better than Harlan. And I don't even like that movie. So that's coming from me who hates The First Strangers. So yeah, not a good movie, kind of shitty. When I say kind of, it is. Let's go back to comments. Did you watch Infested? I did not watch Infested. I had never heard of Infested until you and my friend Terrence mentioned it to me and told me it was your favorite. Now, I'm not positive that's 2024. I looked it up, said 2023, but I didn't do my research on when it was released in the US. So that's on me. I had not heard of the movie. I did see Sting, though, which is a spider movie, and we will be reviewing that. That praying mantis. Kevin Durant would star as the main villain in Kingdom. Yes, that's right. He's the What a Wonderful Day. Definitely hers. What a boring movie this is, and felt dull throughout. See, I don't know. I mean, that I didn't think was an issue. I don't know if I thought it was. It's just the same thing. I mean, if you're not up for watching the same movie again, yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. I personally am just like, yeah, like this is it, man. Like I don't know. I don't know. I think the first one's shitty too. So I guess didn't bother me as much. Mindhunters is good shit. Yes, it is. Elm Street 4 and Prison are much better than Strangers Chapter 1. Yes, definitely. I have no interest in Strangers Chapter 1. Never cared for the original Strangers. And I hear this new chapter is an epic flop. I don't see it as the biggest. I don't think it's the biggest piece of shit ever. And it's one of the more pointless. It's the most pointless on this list. There's no doubt. But biggest piece of shit ever. I don't know if I go that far because it's the same movie as the first one. Like I don't see how you could like the first one and like this. Like I would think if you fucking like the first one, you'd hate this. Like I really would think that. But I don't know. Rennie Harlan also directed the movie Deep Blue Sea, which is awesome. It's like Frankenstein type movie where the scientists try to come up with the Alzheimer. Yeah, they tested on the sharks. That's right. I have fun with that movie. Heard the Strange Type of Zoo is coming out later this year. Yeah, I think it's going to be October. That would make the most sense. Glad save money and watch this on streaming instead. Yeah, no, they were hanging from the rafters when I went there on opening night. There was nobody there. It was pretty funny. I walked in, I was like, wow, the place is sold out to see this fucking movie. John Steele says, watch the Owen prequel. Okay, not great. Felt rushed at the end with Shewing and Damien's backstory. That's fair, too. I think the lead actress was good. I reviewed that at the top of the show. I think it was one of the better. This is so far the movie that's got the highest rating this year, but there's one that's going to knock it off. Okay, this film was another that was just mad to me. I definitely think it was nowhere near as bad as many people. Yeah, I'm there. I don't think this is the worst piece of shit ever, but it's not good. And I don't know, maybe I'd hate it more if I liked the original. I think maybe that's where I'm at, where I don't like it anyway. So I don't know. I do find this movie the most forgettable of the year. I don't know about that either. It definitely, it caused a reaction. Like the fucking entire community just were like, fuck this. Like I'm like, where the fuck were all you people with like good movies that this happened to? Like, I don't know. I guess that's maybe my reaction. Madeline Petch is worth the price of admission alone. Yeah, Madeline Petch is hot. Definitely a good looking lady. Definitely more talent in her pinky nail than Melissa Barrera has in her entire googly-eyed body. I'll definitely check out chapters 2 and 3, though. Okay. I like Strangers 2 Pray at Night more than this. More. I like Strangers 2 Pray at Night the best of any of them because it's the most dumb slasher. Like it's just an 80s fun slasher movie with colorful neon lights. I thought of all three of them, that got what it wanted to be down the best. I really do. I thought the first one was a fucking horrible remake of them. And then this was just a horrible remake of the first one. So I don't know. The second one to me is the only one worth the shit. Oh, to shoot all three of these in a row makes no sense. I'm dumbfounded. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't need to get that either. Like they were like, fuck it, let's triple down. Like everyone hated this, so I'd be really curious if the second one doesn't bomb, then they're right. They got their money. I mean, they're going to be chilling if the second one doesn't bomb. LMFAO Veggie Burger sounds sus. Exactly, bro. Exactly. I don't know. Enough remakes, enough prequels, enough franchises give us new ideas. Well, we'll get there with the state of the genre addressed at the end of the show. But you're right. I mean, that's going to be a big topic. I mean, what we've talked about. First Omen. Yeah, that again, good movie, but it was a prequel. This was a start of a reboot trilogy that, again, we've fucking seen this before. Okay, you know, like that's, you can give all the credit in the world to Late Night at the Devil. At least it's fucking original. At least it's not a fucking remake. Agree with you, Mateo. Because no one will ever be able to recreate Last House on the Left, but they keep trying. Well, yeah, they keep trying till the cows come home, but they're never going to do it. Oh, as some who died that OG Strangers, I much prefer these two of the other two in the OG. And that's boiling hot take. I get crucified for some of people that saw that. Hey man, no, that's you can keep your opinions open here. We got Synthetic in the house saying hi. I much prefer these two instead of the other two I meant. No worries. Yeah, I was confused with what you said. I love Sting. It's a very classic movie where you have this guy who learns how to pull a Kanye. Well, different Sting, different kind of Sting, my friend. But we're gonna get there. Before The Strangers came out, heard that they went woke by having Dollface being played by a guy instead of a girl. Is that true? I didn't know that. I didn't know. Good stream earlier, Juno. Hell yeah. I did a bunch of Living Dead Weekend live streams last week and Sunday. If anyone missed that event, some local vids. Oh, very cool. Go check that out. Both of you guys have new content coming up, so that's very cool. Mernsey checks in. Hey, what's up, Graveyard fam? Just got home. Thought I'd come and hang. Well, Mernsey, you're here just in time for the end of the Strangers Chapter 1 review, my friend. Strangers Chapter 1. Yeah, pointless. Pretty pointless movie. I don't think it's the biggest piece of shit of all time, but it is what it is. Let's talk about a couple that I haven't seen. Because, of course, every year is going to have ones that miss you or whatever, and maybe I will see these movies. But let's talk about the one that right now is getting the most buzz and the most talk, and the one that, I'll be honest, I have negative interest in this movie. And I would be shocked if I like this. This is from the year 2024 as well. This is In a Violent Nature. When a locket is removed from a collapsed fire tower in the woods that entombs the rotting corpse of Johnny, a vengeful spirit spurred on a horrific 60-year-old crime, his body is resurrected and becomes hell-bent on retrieving it. Like, I don't like the idea of this movie. I know a lot of people are like, fuck yeah, this is great. Basically, if you don't know, the idea of this movie is let's resurrect a slasher. Let's try to make a new slasher icon. And the entire movie will go full-on art house, fart house with it, where the entire movie we're in through the perspective of the killer, like a third-person POV of the killer for like 80% of the movie. He picks off people like Friday the 13th movie, but we never follow we apparently get a campfire scene that pissed off the editor of Down by the Bay. He texted me and was like, these motherfuckers stole our color correcting. I started laughing. I'm like, buddy, fucking campfire scenes have been done to death. He's like, yeah, but fuck them. I was like, yeah, honestly, fuck them. I agree. But not for that reason. Yeah, I think this is a horrible idea. It's just too fucking pretentious. That is so, and to me, that defeats the purpose of a slasher movie. A slasher movie should have boobs, it should have blood, it should have mayhem, it should have fun, it should have creative, colorful characters that we go in the car and on the way to fucking Wendy's after seeing the movie, we're talking about laughing and quoting. That's what makes a fun, good slasher movie. And you're taking all of that out of this by following the killer the entire time because, nobody's ever seen a movie where we follow the killer the entire time. Yeah, you sure about that? I mean, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, Pamela Springsteen is the lead. She's the lead through the whole fucking movie, and we're following her as the lead. I mean, granted, it's not the third-person POV throughout the entire fucking thing, but same shit, different day, I guess. I don't know. I think this is a bad idea. I have not seen the movie, so I can't fully rant on it or anything like that. I would be floored if I liked this. I really would. I just think this is a terrible idea. I know a lot of people seem to think it's really good. It's getting decent enough reviews. There's apparently a kill scene in it that, I mean, has set the internet on fire. It's this yoga woman, and she gets killed, and I don't know. I've heard it's crazy. But that's really the only positive you hear. You don't hear anything about a story. You don't really hear anything about characters. There's not much going on. Like, people have said it's a walking simulator slasher movie. And I just don't okay, you can throw this at me too. Well, Grande, you want something new and original? Here it is. Is it really new and original to just do a fucking Jason ripoff and, we changed the point of view? Like, is that really? Yeah, I guess it is original, but I don't know. In that case, I can't see myself liking this. If I do, I'll be the first one to come on here and tell you I was wrong. But man, I can't. I do not see myself liking this. I just think this movie has its head so far up its ass. I don't know. Not interested at all. And the other one I was going to say was Imaginary, which I didn't pull up the fucking link to. But Imaginary I have not seen because it's another one. I saw the trailer and I said, no, I'm not. I had it on the watch list for this week and I said, you know what? I'm not going to torture myself. So those were two bigger ones that have come out and I have not seen. So have to be fair. Can't really shit on them. Although I am next to positive I would not like either movie. But we'll get there. We will get there maybe down the road. Maybe one night we'll get bored and we'll give it a watch. But I don't know. In my opinion, it just looks silly to me and not in a good way. I heard that A24 wants to get the rights to the Halloween franchise. Like, Jesus Christ, let that franchise die after David Gordon Green ruined Michael Myers. Oh, Jesus. No, I don't ever want to see another Halloween film ever. Hey, what's up, Graveyard fam? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I fucking skipped that. I said that before. Hey, guys. Ooh, this one seems pretentious. It does. I think that's such a, we'll make a slasher art house movie. Wow. And we'll make the kills over the top. Like, even, I will say this. Like, I know the Terrifier movies, you love them, you hate them. And while I said that the second one is overrated because it's like trying to be the Ben-Hur of slasher movies, at least those movies get the fun right. This sounds like it's a fucking slasher movie without any fun. Like, where's the fun? Like, granted, I don't know what happened to sleaze. Does anybody remember sleaze in slasher movies? Had they just completely been like, sleaze is extinct? There's no sleaze from what I understand in this. There was no fucking sleaze in Stranger. Like, dude, you have Madeline Patch. Give me some sleaze. Like, something, man, to entertain. Be like, oh, at least there was that one sleazy scene with Madeline Patch. Like, I don't know. I just think sleaze has just disappeared. And I don't understand why. Like, why can't slasher movies? Why can't either of the Terrifier movies? Why? Like, why are we so against sleaze now in slasher movies? To me, they're synonymous. Like I said, boobs, blood, mayhem. Let's have a good fucking time. I don't know. Well, let's watch a fucking guy walk and kill somebody. Whoa, that was gratuitous. All right, let's wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and he's going to walk some more. It's just dumb. This movie sounds like it was from an episode of Scooby-Doo where does it really? The characters would awaken something that is evil, and of course you would have the twist where it would be a criminal scheme. Well, Slasher Fred, that sounds a lot better than this movie. Fuck anyone who steals from Down by the Bay. Thank you. Hey, to be fair, my editor was just salty. I think they used a similar like color grade that he did. And he texted me. He's like, you see this fucking trailer? This piece of shit. He went off. It was really funny. I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, dude, I just think the idea of the movie is terrible. But, like, I can't get upset over a fucking campfire. I'm like, dude, throw a rock, you let a horror movie as a campfire scene. Hey, Texas, yeah, I'm excited to see the kills, though. Here, they're pretty brutal. Yeah, no, I'm hearing that, too. That's why new horror movies don't have that magic. The past horror films, original movies will always still hold up. Yeah, that's, I think, a totally fair point. I agree. Backstory sounds weak. Yeah, Jinja Ninja's in that chat. What's going on, Jinja? Hope all is well with you. Skull Force might be better. Hey. Oh, here's a guy that reviewed In a Violent Nature for like over 30 minutes. So if you want to see his review of it, Explorer of Horror checks in. I love how people called Nature a art house slasher. Yeah, basically that's basically what Imaginary was lame. Wanted to see, truly forgot that film came out just because it was a lame film. Okay, it even has Arthur Kropp. Okay, what's up? What's up, everyone? Hey, Jason. We got Agony, Xenon, Evil, Lost, aka Axel. That's a first time name. Behind the Mask already did that, and it sounds waste. Oh, Behind the Mask, I love. I think Behind the Mask is a great movie because it's like. That to me is a really great movie that hadn't been done before. And it's like you see the behind the scenes of what it is to be a slasher. And then, of course, you know, they did the whole big switch where she's the final girl, the lady making the documentary. And that whole scene where he cries and she's like, what are you so sad about? What are you crying about? And he says something like, you know, she like, do you love her? And he says something like, I love the idea of her. I love the idea of being the final girl. And like the way he explains that, the way that movie's written, that's a beautiful film. To me, that's way more deserving of this overwhelming praise that this piece of shit's getting. I shouldn't call it a piece of shit because I haven't seen it, but I would be shocked if I liked this. I really, really would, man. Zero fun. Sleaze is on PC today. But how are you going to make a slasher movie without sleaze? Like, I mean... I don't know. Just a little. I don't know. Am I crazy? Maybe I am. Yes, sleaze. Trauma and late 80s slashers are sleaze fest. I'm not even asking for a fest. Just something. Like, imagine. I don't know. Imaginary. It's imaginary. That's what it is. It's completely imaginary. Sleaze in movies. You'll be. Oh yeah. When I start watching Devil's Honey and fucking Don't Torture a Duckling, yeah, they'll get plenty of fucking sleaze there for the Fulci special. That should be fun. But. Those were two I hadn't seen. Let's shift gears, though, to Should I? Oh, wow. We got a bug in the hazy. We got a bug on Grande's graveyard that's attracted to this light. So if I clap him dead at some point, you'll know what's going on. But let's get to one I've been dancing around for a while. And I was going to end with this one, but we're going to end with the state of the genre address. So let's get to something that I know I've been not the biggest fan of any of these so far, but this next movie was easily my favorite of the year, hands down. And it actually, the Blu-ray just dropped on Tuesday, so I picked it up, and I don't have to scare the screen here. I can show up the blue. So this is, of course, this one dropped limitedly in theaters in February, and I didn't get the chance to see it in the theater. I will forever regret it, because I really wish I could have. I wish I could have just hit the city one day and went to go see this. This is, of course, from director Robert Morgan, who is a big stop-motion animation filmmaker, of course. This was his first stop-motion/live-action directorial debut. This is stop motion. Yes, stop motion from this year. Brief plot synopsis. A stop-motion animator struggles to control her demons after the loss of her overbearing mother. Yes, stop motion. Without a doubt, my pick for horror movie of the year. And I thought this was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was so thought-provoking, a really, truly brilliant psychological horror movie about Ella, who, of course, is played by Aisling Franciosi, who people remember from The Nightingale. She's great in that. People remember from Last Voyage of the Demeter, probably not the greatest thing to watch in the world, but she's good as always. I really like her as an actress. I believe she's an Irish actress. And of course, this was, I believe, made in the UK, of course, by Robert Morgan, who his entire career has made stop motion animation movies. And of course, he was like, what if I made one where it was about a stop motion animation and, filmmaker and kind of the psychological horror idea. Love the idea. It basically stars Aisling Franciosi, and her mother is this overbearing, very, controlling mother who makes these stop motion animation films, but she's suffering through like carpal tunnel, or like, I don't know if it's like, not, oh my God, what is the damn word for fucking, I can't think of it, but the disease where you can't move your hands anymore. I can't fucking think. Carpal tunnel keeps coming in my mind, but I can't think of it. Whatever. She has this disease where she can't move the stop motion pieces the way she can. So she has her daughter do it almost like a puppet, like, okay, 2 centimeters to the left, 1 centimeter to the right. And she's kind of instructing her all these ways how to direct this film. And she's very overbearing. She's very suffocating to her daughter. And her daughter doesn't feel like she can have her own voice. She doesn't feel like she's been able to use her own voice and be her own individual. She feels so kind of worn down by this. And of course, the mother gets sick and goes off to the hospital, and Aisling Franciosi, I want to finish my mother's film. I really want to go and finish it. And of course, she goes to do it. And there's this very interesting, film that she's making where it's about this Cyclops with one eye who traded her eye to the gods to see her future. And in her future saw her death, which of course, if you've seen the movie, you could see how that comes and plays out in the end, obviously. There's be spoilers here, by the way. I did a spoiler-free review if you're interested in that. Which, of course, leads her to meet this little girl who's drinking this juice box and singing this song and stuff like that. And she comes right around the time where Ella's making this, and, oh, that sounds boring. That sounds uninteresting. Okay, yeah, you think it's uninteresting? You think it's boring? How would you make it better? And basically every day the girl comes in and tells her what she needs to do for the scene. And it's through this little girl that she starts making a different stop motion picture and starts to become obsessed with her work. And this is a very interesting psychological take that has many different meanings and many different ways to interpret. And I thought that was the beauty of this thing. It really made me think. Colorful wise, it's just gorgeous. A lot of greens, a lot of reds, a lot of blues, a lot of primaries here used that I thought were just breathtaking from a visual standpoint. I thought Aisling Franciosi was incredible as the lead. I thought she was just so good as we watched this woman who has truly just lost her oomph, has lost her, want to be a creator. Here's this woman who her entire life has, you haven't been able to find your own voice. And now she has that opportunity to do so. And it's almost still like she can't, or if she can, it's the darkest repressed thoughts in her head coming out to life. And of course, this little girl, oh, it would be interesting if we put raw meat on the character in the movie. Okay, we'll do that. Oh, it would be interesting if we put this dead fox we found outside, parts of it, on this character in the movie. And we watch slowly but surely as our lead character starts to pretty much lose her mind over the course of 90 minutes. And I thought it was really, really well done. I thought from a direction standpoint, I was very impressed that this was his first live action film. I thought he did a really good job. The acting was tremendous. The whole, what does it mean? Interpretation, stuff like that. I have my own thoughts, but I think it's really up to you. I think this is one of those movies where you can interpret it different ways. I sort of see it as, I do think there's an interesting line where it's kind of on the nose where Ella's mom says to her, You've just been a puppet your whole life. And Ella says back to her, like, I'm not a puppet. I'm just a spinning image of you. And she goes, yes, my dear, but I know how to control it. You don't. And when the puppets are done with their play, they go back in the box. She says something like really cold to her on her deathbed. And Ella's just like mad about it and whatever. And of course, the entire finale, her story, her stop motion film sort of comes to life and eats her alive, as we have this very interesting scene where she sees herself dead on the floor. Very interesting visual. She kind of walks over defeated, and the little girl, I loved it. And you get that whole full circle of when the puppets are done, they go back in the box. The final shot is her getting back into the box of her film and kind of accepting it. Like, okay, you know what? I can't find my own voice. I can't be an individual. I've looked through my mother. I couldn't find it. I've tried to prove to this child that I can make my own movie and I could be oh so good and I could really say what I need to say and be an individual. And at the end, I think she fully embraces, yeah, I can't do that. I am a puppet. And it's time to go back in the box. And I think there's so much horror there. I do. I think that's a really horrifying thing to think about. And I liked the psychological horrors that this movie had to present. I think it's light years in front of some of the movies we've talked about here tonight. It's not perfect. I do think, again, it's another movie that kind of suffered from gratuity in the third act, which is a theme here tonight. I do think it went a little too far in the third act with its gratuity. And some of the things, like there's the little thing with the egg, what I didn't really understand, but maybe upon a rewatch. Granted, I've seen it like 3 times. I've sort of become obsessed with it. I really liked this, though. Stop motion to me is, for right now, horror movie of the year. I think this is going to be a tough one to top, personally. So curious to see what you guys think if you've seen it. Let's go back to comments here. I think we were here. Oh, yeah, there's a fly in the room. There's 4 flies on gray velvet. I heard they want to remake American Psycho, which I'm not surprised they're remaking everything. Yeah, no, definitely they are, which that would be terrible. I know that the Possession remake is almost off the ground, which that will be terrible. Oh, cool. I didn't miss it. I watched it last week. Thought it was great. The ending, though, like we discussed, didn't quite land for me, but really enjoyed it. That's totally fair. I could totally understand not liking the ending of this. Like, I could totally see somebody saying, I was with it until the ending, like Late Night with the Devil. I could totally see that. I was with it the whole way. Like, I loved the story. I thought it was a really creative idea. Like, what if we made a movie about a stop-motion animator that lost her mind in her work and like got too far into it, all to try to prove to herself that she is her own individual. I love that idea. I think that's a great psychological horror idea. And I watched the interviews on this today with the director and the lead actress. Really cool. It made me endeared and like the movie even more. And some of the behind the scenes footage of stuff. I don't know. I thought this was a really impressive directorial debut for a live action feature. Herschel Gordon-Lewis provided some very early sleaze and gore. Hey, no, there's no doubt. I just wonder where it went now. Like, it's gone now. It really, I mean, name many horror movies now with sleaze. It's just rare. Have you brought? Yeah, dude, I had to. I want to support this movie. I wish this was a 4K. It's funny. When I first saw it, I rented it in 4K. So now we're going to 1080p. But man, I watched some clips today. It's awesome looking movie. Really visually appealing. Stop motion animation used to very popular back in the day. Effects like Ray Harryhausen, of course, Jason and the Argonauts. Stop motion delivered the atmosphere and chills. I agree with that. I just loved every minute of this. I thought it was creepy. I thought the actual usage of stop motion in the film was really, I was like, this is so fucking creative. Like, I love that they're showing this. And, he comes at night, the Ash Man, and the whole story. I loved how the whole story played out. And she even suggests, like Red Riding Hood. And the kid looks at her like, really? She cannot physically just give her own good idea. And it eats her alive to the point where her own face is eaten by this creature in the fucking picture. Really cool. I dug stop motion. One of the 2 horror films I liked this year. Every other horror film I've seen has been either meh or dog shit. My thoughts on the genre right now, horrible and sad. We're going to get my thoughts on the state of the genre. We only have a couple left here. Phil Tippett and David Allen were carrying the torch for stop motion for a long time, since Star Wars and Laser Blast, though, through RoboCop and Puppet Master and much more. Sure. Okay, so if you're interested, it seems like some people are interested in stop motion animation. I recommend the film if you're interested in it, because I do think this is a really, really, it's crazy that it's taken this long for them to make a movie about a stop motion. Like, to me, it's like, great idea, but I wonder why it's never been done before. And I thought in a really good way. I don't know. Easily my pick for best of the year. I really liked it. And I have a hard time seeing that's going to get topped. Now, I know, again, all these movies that we've given, reviews to here tonight, this gets a 5.6. So a lot of people didn't like this. This was not a highly, to preface, Into Violent Nature gets a 6.3 on IMDb. Sting, which we're going to talk about, gets a 5.7 is higher. Late Night with the Devil gets like a 7, I think, on IMDb. Even Immaculate got higher than this movie. Like, a lot of the movies we're talking about tonight got higher overall ratings from people that watched them. That's totally fine. I don't know. Maybe it's just a situation where this movie's not for everybody. I don't really know, other than the ending not making sense to people, if there's really a gripe I'd have in here. Again, maybe a little too gratuitous towards the end when she starts killing her boyfriend and the sister. I was like, don't think you needed to do that. But I thought overall, the best of the year for me, in my opinion. I think it's one worth watching, and I hope people do. It is on Shudder for free if you have that, or you could go and rent it. So it is what it is. That was my favorite of the year, without a doubt. Let's move on, though, into one that was kind of surprising. I thought I wouldn't like this, and I thought that the lead actress, granted, in this acting company, I don't think she's the best in the world, but I know she has at least 2 talents. This is from the same year. This is Immaculate, starring everyone's favorite double D lady, Sydney Sweeney. Cecilia, a woman of devout faith, is warmly welcomed to the picture-perfect Italian countryside, where she is offered a new role at an illustrious convent. But it becomes clear to Cecilia that her new home harbors dark and horrifying secrets. This one, I was a little bit surprised with. And in a way, in a perfect world, I wish this and First Omen took a little bit from each other. I wish First Omen took the first third of this movie and maybe some of the establishing shots and atmosphere and tone that the first third of this movie had. I thought this movie had a much better setup than payoff, whereas First Omen had a much better payoff than setup. So I almost wish they could have borrowed from one another, or even if you could have had the director and Nell Tiger Free go here instead of Sydney Sweeney. But with that said, I don't think Sydney Sweeney's bad. She is attractive. I do think she's really more of a body than anything else. I don't think she's a great actress, but she does fine in the film. She's serviceable enough in the film. I think the first third of it, like I said, is good. The opening of the movie I thought was solid. You have this woman in a convent. She's trying to escape. She gets to the gate. It's really tension-filled, and she's almost there. And then these fucking druids come out and just destroy her. Like, they rip her arm apart as she's trying to crawl under the gate. I thought that was fine. I was like, okay, that's a good opening. I'm hooked. I'm interested. We get to know some of the characters. I was like, okay, I'm definitely invested in this. We're going to have, a third of the way in. And then it kind of started to become typical by the numbers, and by the end of all of these was just brutal in the gratuity department, where I just didn't understand. Like, you're trying to tell the story where basically Sydney Sweeney comes, she has this immaculate conception of a child, she's going to give birth, and there's this whole thing where the convent is behind it and they want her to give birth to this thing, blah blah blah. It's very similar to the twist in First Omen. It's not a very wow twist. It pretty much going in that's what's going to be going on, because all these people, we won't let her see her real doctor. It's like, bro, really? Like, I'm supposed to think you're innocent after you say that? Like, come on. I mean, that stuff was whatever, but I thought the third act of this was just bizarre when it just all of a sudden just started throwing blood and gore and fire and like just bizarre with the gratuity in the third act of it, where I was like, man, where did all this come from? It just felt so out of place. They do the scene where they burn Sydney Sweeney's feet with a cross. They brand her with a cross. I don't know, that didn't really work for me. One of the priest characters gets burned alive in a room with CGI fire. I thought that looked like shit. I will say this though, while the first third was solid and I thought the rest of it was kind of the very finale I thought was very smart. We do have the scene where she gives birth. And I thought, okay, in this movie, they've been gratuities, galore in the third act. Here we're just going to see this disgusting birth scene and wow, special makeup effects. They didn't do that here, and I really give them big props for that. Instead, they hold a close, uncomfortable, tight close-up on Sydney Sweeney screaming in pain and torture as she's giving birth to this immaculate conceived baby, screaming into the camera for a really uncomfortable amount of time. I was like, okay, that's what I would have done with it. I was like, I liked this. And I thought, of course, they're going to show the baby and it's going to be fucking alien baby, whatever. They don't do that either. They don't show the baby at all. She sees it. You get the idea and kind of have to fill in the old blank with your head, which I was like, okay, I really like that. Crushes it with a rock and we cut to credits. I was like, all right. I was very surprised with the very ending. I was like, I thought we were going to get the disgusting bird scene and see this horribly deformed baby and then crush it and fade to black. That I don't think would have fit with the first, how this movie's set up. It's set up like a very old school nunsploitation movie, and I liked that feeling. I would say that the feeling and setup was better than First Omen, but I don't think the direction was nearly as slick. I don't think the visuals were nearly as slick, and I don't think Sydney Sweeney was better than Nell Tiger breaking free. I don't. I think she's pretty, and they do have scenes where, I don't know if I call it sleaze, but you do see scenes where she's getting showered off against her will, and she's holding her ginormous fucking yits. I mean, you do have scenes like that. So if you're a Sydney Sweeney fan, whatever. I don't know though. I think overall, again, passable, but not as good as, I don't know, probably a 5 out of 10, but passable, 5.5, somewhere in that ballpark. It's definitely like an average enough movie, but passable to me. I thought this was fine. I really did. I thought it really starts better than it finishes, but I do think the very ending, I was like eye-opened. I was like, wow, I thought they would go over the top with the gratuity like they were for the last hour, and then they just were like, no, we won't show this. And I was like, okay, at least golf clap for that, so that was immaculate. Curious to hear what you guys have to say about that, if you guys have seen it at all. Was Tarot the best horror movie of the year? I did not see Tarot, but I don't know. That's another one where I couldn't imagine if I like it. Just saying, Strangers Chapter 1 is decent film. Don't get the hate. I buried it a little bit, but I don't think it's worth the overwhelming burial that it got. Yeah, it's better than In a Violent Nature. I don't think I like In a Violent Nature. I've only seen Sydney Sweeney and Madam Web. Oh yeah, well, hey man, that's crazy. These movies came out like weeks apart. And it's funny, this and First Omen came out 2 weeks apart, which is crazy. But I'll stand by what I said. I wish they had borrowed from each other. Like I would love if that director and Nell came here and they just made this movie. Like, it's no Omen tie-in, no, like John Steele was saying before, like, okay, force now, we're setting up Omen 1 at the end. I agree. It just didn't feel organic. It felt like, okay, we have to end here. So, here we go. Here's the setup to the first movie. It did feel a little bit unnatural. Speaking of Lucio, this movie sounds a bit like Demonia. It's probably a bit better than Demonia. At least it definitely had more money than Demonia. Sydney Sweeney has kind of been typecasted as the girl with big tits. And I think this is a type of movie of her trying to break that. Like, she was a producer. She's been trying to get the film made for like over 10 years, somebody said, which I don't have. Has that make sense? She's not really been, I think she's younger than me. I think she's like 25, maybe 26. I think she's a year or so younger than me. She's been trying to get this made forever. She produced it. I think she handpicked the director. This was really, I think, a movie where she wanted people to be like, she's more than just a hot body. She can really, and she's okay, but I don't think you're any Nell Tiger free. I even thought Madeline Patch was a little bit better in the Strangers movie. I thought she even gave a better performance as okay, I'm more than just a body type of thing. But I do feel like that's what they're trying to go for here, that, okay, she can really, really act. She's serviceable. I think that's a good word for it. She's serviceable as an actress. I don't think she's great. I really don't. I didn't watch this and go, oh man, I can't wait to see what she acts in next. Not really. No, she's okay. Really enjoyed this one, and for all the reasons you did. Yeah, that's so funny. Love the gore. It was like a very odd homage to old Italian nunsploitation films. Enjoyed the over the topness. That's totally cool. Hey man, that's cool. I personally liked the slow burn of the first third. I was sitting here for the first half hour. I was like, all right. I was like, I'm with this. This is fucking building really good. I like the character interactions. I like the slow burn. And then it just it was like, fuck it. Now, like, that's what they did. They just made, like, I don't know. It didn't work for me because I felt like what it set up, it didn't really pay off, but it wasn't necessarily bad. It just, I guess, maybe a personal preference. But I do think it's a passable, solid enough movie where very much worth the watch. And I didn't think I'd like it at all. I thought I was like, I'm going to hate this too. And I would not hate it at all. I really didn't. The last movie in full we're going to talk about here, I believe we talked about almost all of them here, except this one. Yes. Okay. So this is the last one I have seen, and then we can get to the state of the genre address and what's to come. I figured we'd do that. This is Sting from this year. Of course, brief plot synopsis. After raising an unnervingly talented spider in secret, 12-year-old Charlotte must face the facts about her pet and fight for her family's survival when the once charming creature rapidly transforms into a giant flesh-eating monster. This was another surprise. I thought I'd hate this too. I was like, CGI spider movie? Nah, I thought for sure I would hate this. And I really didn't. I thought it was actually quite good. It's basically more like a family horror drama movie where it's this family that are on hard times. They're in this apartment. The daughter brings home this spider. The dad character is a stepdad who's kind of moved into their lives, and he's very nice and helpful and tries to be supportive and stuff. I thought that whole aspect of him, like trying to do the right things, win the family over, and then of course throwing this physical horror, this physical being into it, this spider in like a creature feature way. I thought that worked. I liked the story it was telling here. The effects aren't the greatest. They're just not. Like the CGI spider, I was like, I really, really wish they could have somehow made it practical, but I guess that would have taken more time and money and probably would not have been as easy to shoot that way. And that's understandable. But overall, I was surprised with it. Like, I was very surprised. I thought the family element, them battling this fucking spider at the end in the third act, I thought was effective. I thought maybe the spider could have killed more people. Like, maybe it could have had more of a carnage / body count in this, but I do think it was very focused on telling the story that it wanted to tell about this family that is, trying to build, but it's falling apart, and there's spiders eating people around this whole apartment building in front of them. I thought that was fine. I don't know. I definitely thought this was a big surprise and like a definite 6 out of 10 for me. I did not mind Sting at all. I was quite surprised. This was probably the biggest surprise of all the movies I watched. So Sting, not a full-on review, but a definite one that I would say watch because I thought it was decent enough for sure. So let's get to the nitty gritty now. We've talked about the first half of the year. We will talk about what's to come, I guess, as a preview. But I guess we'll do the state of the genre address now. What do I think after all these movies that we saw? What was there? I don't know how many. I didn't do full-on reviews like classic Grande's Graveyard style because obviously, I wanted the show to be a little bit different. What do I think of the state of the genre? I think it's been in a rough shape for a long time. I don't think there's anybody that could really deny that. I do think you have diamonds in the rough. I do think every year feels like you have a couple of diamonds in the rough. Now, last year, 2023, I did not see as many as I did this year so far. I would say even the first half of this year, I've seen more than I saw of all last year. But it seems like every now and again, there's a horror movie that'll come out that gets buzz. And then there'll be the whole, you either love it or you hate it. That whole Talk to Me last year, it seemed like a lot of people liked it. I still haven't seen the movie, so I can't say. I'm actually inclined to think I'll like it. It looked good, and I just didn't have time. I was shooting Down by the Bay when that came out, actually. So that was just a bad timing thing. Otherwise, I might have well seen it in the theater for all I know. But as far as you look at what we've gotten. You've gotten, okay, the Blumhouse Come House. You had Night Swim and Imaginary and Tarot. Then you get the reboots where it's, we'll just do Strangers 1 again and we'll make it a trilogy. We'll bring back Omen, but it's a prequel and we'll change the lore so we can make this movie. And otherwise, the movie has no reason to exist. kind of lazy, but again, taking established entity and going ahead. We have the fucking Poonaverse, which I didn't talk about here tonight. Yes, the Winnie the Poonaverse, where it's fucking childhood, like, Bambi and Winnie the Pooh, and I don't know, all the ones they have. I think Snow White. Like, they're taking all of these 100-year-old IPs and making horror movies out of them, and they're calling it the Poonaverse. And for some fucking reason, people go to see these movies. I'll never know why. You have that going on. You have, of course, the over-the-top gratuitous slashers, that seems to draw good. I mean, the Terrifier, that draws good. This In a Violent Nature, even though it didn't get the widest of wide releases, it still is making a lot of noise. And then I do think you have the stuff that is actually worth the shit. That whether it be from Neon, like something like Immaculate, whether it be stop motion, which was IFC, I think Shudder got somewhere into the Sting, or Late Night with the Devil. I think you do have some interesting ideas and movies being made there. Now, if they're going to garner buzz or not, it's really remains to be seen. It's really, I think, hard to draw to the horror fan demographic now, because I'm not sure horror fans know what they want anymore. And that's upsetting me. Like you asked me, John, what do you want? What do you want from the genre? I want something like this. I want something creative, something that made me think, something that creeped me out, something that visually was appealing, that had good action, good acting, good directing, a good story. It wasn't overly long. It wasn't pretentious. It was just right to me. That's just how I saw it. But this is a movie that gets a 5.6. People generally did not like this movie. They thought it was poop. That's fine. That's fine if you feel that way too. My question, if you feel that way, what are you looking for in the genre? I think it's a question for everybody. What do you look for in the genre? And that's why it is hard to state the state of a genre address. I don't know what people are looking for anymore. There are some people that want over-the-top violence and gore and these fucking slasher movies that just literally you could taste the blood coming off the screen. I'm all for that. But where are some of the elements that made the slasher movie in the 80s? Where are they fallen? Why have they ended up on the cutting room floor? Why is there no sleaze? Why is there no fun? Why is there no funny, memorable characters? Why is the tone off in these movies? Why? I think it's a valid question. If you're into that and you're wanting that. If you're into the Poonaverse, why? Why in the hell are you into that? But again, if someone is into that and they want that to be what they're, going to see horror movies for, that's fine too. That's totally fine. I just want to know why. I'm curious as to why. And I think the thing that they make the most is the exorcism / ghost movies. Like you made Immaculate, which has the nun theme, the religious theme. First Omen has the nun theme. You have the movie Russell Crowe, Exorcism or whatever, coming out in a couple of weeks. Just late last year, you had the fucking Exorcist Believer. We have all these exorcism / ghost / paranormal, like that seems to be the ones they churn out the most. And whether they make money or not, they've been on that trend. That's the trend that it just seems like that's the stuff that gets the most releases. Some people want the A24 stuff. Some people want the A Quiet Place prequel, which I will never see in my life. I don't know. I'm just curious to what people want, because I don't know at all what people want to go to see the theaters for. Like think about it. What makes money now in the theater? Like if it's not a Marvel movie, it's a gamble. And then you just had the Mad Max Furiosa. It made nothing. Nobody went to see. Nobody cared. The Planet of the Apes movie did well, and I thought it was solid. You had what the fuck else has come out and flopped this year? I mean, shit. It seems like a lot has come out and flopped. The If movie. That granted, I'm glad that fuck John Krasinski. It's just crazy. It seems like a lot of fucking movies that come out now just flop no matter what, unless it's already an established action Marvel thing, or if it's, another action established franchise. And even then, some of this stuff is flopping. So I just wonder where the money is. Where is the money? What should horror's next step be? Like I wish this had got a big theatrical run, but it's not going to happen. It's not. I'm curious though. Let me hear from you guys. What is your feeling on the state of the genre, and where do you feel like you would like to see it go? That's a question for the chat I have right now, and we'll catch up with you. It's Sting. Yes, it's Crow Sting. Yes, no. Haven't seen Sting, but sounds like Charlotte's Web. horror. And the kid's name is Charlotte in it. So it's a very, I don't know. I liked it. It had a nice heart to it that I think is kind of rare in creature feature. And I kind of liked it. I really did. I was very surprised. Giant bug movies used to be so popular in the 50s. And yeah, and like, I don't think it died necessarily. Like you generally, this type of movie goes to the Sci-Fi Channel now. Like it's ice spiders or it's giant anaconda versus Lake Placid, or like that's the what the creature features. They're generally just giant CG monsters, and it's going direct to TV. This was way better than any of that. Like it had something to say. It had a story to tell, and I thought it was done well. Haven't seen Sting yet. I think it's worth seeing, and everyone's telling me Infested is really good, so I will see Infested. I apologize, I had never heard of it until 2 days ago. Sting is a very classic movie. Brett, yeah, exactly. Well, it's that time. Walk the pug. Good night, Grande in the chat. Hearst Hill, have a great night, my friend. Haven't seen Sting yet, but I liked Infested. They should have called it a Wreck-nophobia with the quarantine apartment building setting. That is a great idea. And if you're a fan of Wreck, I may have a Wreck show planned down the road. Interesting slasher Fred. Oh, fuck the Poonaverse shit. Dude, that is a thing. They have a schedule and they're trying to make it like Marvel. Where Marvel, in 2027, Fantastic Four. Like they had the whole schedule and they put it on the giant screen and all the fucking nerds can go crazy over it. They're trying to do that, but with IPs from 100 plus years ago of children's titles and turning them into horror films. That is just, oh God, like you're whoring out the genre with that. I think that's terrible. Haven't seen Sting, but it has some Weta Workshop, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit folks work on it. That's right. So I'd expect it to look. It looks good. Some of the CG was kind of iffy for me. Sorry, but I was making a joke. I was to the 73 movie, The Sting, which is very iconic. Of course, I'd like to take the Poonaverse and take a dump on. You'd like to take a poo on the Poonaverse, is what you're trying to say. People talking to one another. A shitload of gore doesn't automatically make your film good, and I agree. I don't like what. When did that happen? When you walked into a movie and went, okay, the gore was good. That was a great movie. Like it's very rare. Like I look at great movies that have great gore. Look at Dead Alive. That's a funny movie. It's creative. It's funny. It's fun. It's fucking innovative. Peter Jackson just really pulling out all the tricks and all the stops. And it's entertaining. And then it has the gore. Like the gore is a part of it. The Evil Dead movies, which is something that they, for some reason now, think the only thing that Evil Dead ever was worth was the gore. Where the thing that made Evil Dead great was creativity. It was fucking the camera shots and going through the woods. And it wasn't just the fucking, people that were getting possessed. It was the woods themselves that were getting possessed, and the light bulb filling up with the gore, and the fucking, scene in the first one where Ash touches the mirror and it turns to like water, like all the creative shots that Evil Dead did. And now it's just relegated to, did you see the remake? Look at the gore. Oh, did you see Evil Dead fries? Oh my God, look at the gore. Where's the fucking creativity that makes Evil Dead? Sam Raimi was so key and vital to that, and I feel like that's not present anymore. And people just, did you see the gore? I'm like, yeah, I saw the gore, but it's not the first time I've seen gore done well, and I want to see it done in a movie that works as a movie too. Like, I don't know. I may sound like for an old guy, but I really think that the platforms are slowly killing horror. Back to the theater, new ideas, new up-and-coming daring directors, the solutions. Hey, I'm totally for that. And I do think you do have some good, talented filmmakers that I saw and watched movies from this year. I have the woman that did First Omen, I think she's going to have a good career. I really see talent there. She, from a director standpoint, impressed me a lot. I do think, even though I know he's like late 40s, early, like he's definitely older to be making his first feature-length live-action movie. I thought Robert Morgan did a great job, and I'm very interested to see what he does next. I am all for these up-and-comers, but here's the thing. When they're up-and-comers and they're handed Imaginary, or they're handed, we'll give you Strangers prequels, we'll give you Omen, but like, I wish they had options. I wish they could be able to be free. And that's why I said with First Omen, use it as a launch pad. Use it as a lily pad. Okay, I did a good job making this prequel of an established thing. Give me my chance to tell a real original story. I'm all for that. I just don't know if that'll ever draw. I just don't think it draws enough. And I think that's why they're going straight to streaming. I think they know, all right, this movie, we give them a $20 million budget. Nobody's going to go see it anyway. We're not going to make that in a theater. And I think that's what scares them. It's hard because it's such a fine line. You want to make a movie that's going to make a profit. You want to make a movie that's a hit. But you're also at the same time trying to make something completely original that nobody's ever fucking heard of from a guy that has never worked in the town or has worked in the town limitly. I can understand why the people go, oh, I don't really want to go. I don't know what that is. Whatever. I don't know. It's a very, very, it's a tough situation. Grande, you don't like Quiet. I hate the Quiet Place 1 is terrible. I think Deadpool Wolverine will. Oh my God. Of course it will. Of course. That movie's already one of the biggest hits of the year. It hasn't even come out yet. We need more creature features. I'm all for it. I after seeing Sting, I'm all for seeing more creature features. I'm all for it. I thought what was it called? Was it called Crawl with the killer alligator movie? I thought that was real. I was shocked. I was like, wow, I never thought I'd like this. Alex Aja pulled it off. I thought that was good. I think that's what it was called, Crawl. Starship Troopers was a great giant bug movie with plenty of sleaze and social commentary. Yeah. Evil Dead was so damn clever. Same. I missed that too. I know we'll probably go back to the 70s and 80s horror, but I like to see more movies like the 70s and 80s movies like Late Night with the Devil minus the bad CGI. Yeah, no, totally. I know what you mean. Sorry, Ground. I just realized the autocorrect misspells it. No worries. No worries. No, I don't mind. How do I put this? Like, I don't mind a throwback as long as you're trying to be your own thing. And I think that sometimes these movies, they kind of get lost in that. They throw back too far where it's like, oh my God, I'm trying to be this movie. It's like, no, be your own movie. Like, that's my big problem with X. That's why I didn't like X. And speaking of that, I guess since we've addressed the state of the genre, obviously it's not looking good right now. It's really not, let's be honest. It's in rough shape, and I think it's been this state for quite a while. It's unfortunate, but you know what? It is what it is, and hopefully things will change for the better. But it's just very hard. I do think I always go back to this. I do think we have to come together and just embrace something so they can start making ripoffs of it or just movies that come out theatrically more wide and thus give more people more options of horror to go and see. I think that's the big thing, but it's going to be hard to do. But let's preview the rest of the year and we'll call it a night here. I know it's been a longer show. Let's see. So I'm in the month of June here, and The Exorcism is coming out, I believe, in a week with Russell Crowe. No interest at all in that. That's the second, I think, after he did Pope's Exorcist, now it's The Exorcism, which is, I think, a completely unrelated movie, but with the same theme. Does anybody really care? Then the following week is the Vordelok, which is going to be limitedly released. That looks like another, almost like a Nosferatu knock. And A Quiet Place Day One, because we all had to see Day One of when the Quiet Place virus broke out. Yeah, or not virus, but I guess crazy outbreak of aliens. Moving into July, you have Maxine, which I know I'm in the minority. So many people have told me they cannot wait for Maxine. They think Maxine's going to be the best movie horror-wise of the year. If it's even horror, I've seen the trailer. It doesn't really look very horror. But they loved X. They loved Pearl. She was great in Pearl. I will say that. Mia Goth was great in Pearl. The movie, I don't know. But she was great. She's really talented. I really wish she could get, like, I liked Infinity Pool from last year. That was one of my favorites from last year, and I thought she was great in it. But man, I don't know. She just, this movie just doesn't interest me. Maxine, no interest at all. But I know that's going to be one that, oh my God, all the marks are going to review that, talk about it, gush over that. So that's fine, but I don't know. I don't really like Ty West. I don't think I ever really will. So that's that one. You got, let's see, Long Legs. Long Legs very much intrigues me. That's Micah Monroe and Nicolas Cage, and it's going to be like a serial killer movie where Micah Monroe is the detective on the case. I believe it's a film that's going to be released by Neon, which I do think has released some good stuff. And we have yet to see Nick Cage in the trailer as the serial killer, although it's already been revealed he is the killer in the movie, but we have yet to see him. I think that's really interesting. I think of the trailers I've seen, that one's one of the more impressive ones because they don't give away the entire movie. It's just mysterious enough to make me wonder. and want to wander into the theater to go see it. So I will definitely be seeing Longlegs. I think that's going to be a really good movie that's going to surprise a lot of people and hopefully make a good chunk of change. But again, I don't think that's a movie that draws. I don't know. I don't know how much money that makes. I mean, I hope people go and see it, but I don't see that one being a big hit. That's just me. Let's see. You have something called The Last Breath, which looks like an underwater horror movie, which was Julian Sands, one of his last movies, posthumously going to be released. So rest in peace to Julian Sands. You have Trap, starring the legendary Josh Hartnett, who, of course, is making his big return to like being a lead. And of course, that's M. Night Shyamalan movie. So that's going to be, I saw the trailer to that. It looks very odd. It's like him and his daughter go to a fucking concert and all the shit hits the fan. I don't know. It looks like it's going to have a Shyamalanian twist in it. Cuckoo is coming out that same weekend, which is on to August 2nd now. Cuckoo, I think, looks interesting. It looks like it could be hampered by some bad acting, but it does have Jessica Hennick in it, who I always really like. So hopefully Jessica Hennick can save that movie, even though she's not the lead. But that I would see that overseeing The Trap personally. At least it looks a little bit more unique. Let's see. Then we have Alien Romulus getting released on August 16th. And I'm never, ever, almost ever someone to embrace like a reboot of something. Like I'm like, leave it the fuck alone. Almost always am against it. I'm kind of impressed by the trailer. I think it is an interesting looking movie just from the horror aspect and the scope. I saw that trailer and I'm like, wow, they could have something here. Like, and let's be honest, Alien really has not had many positive entries since Aliens, probably. Like everyone seems to hate Alien 3 and Resurrection. AVP, it's almost like those movies never happened. And then Prometheus and Covenant, they're in that universe, but are they really alien movies? Like this looks like it's getting back to the first film and that kind of like a skeleton crew getting picked off and that kind of scope to try to make it look like the Nostromo. I could be dead wrong. And I know the guy directing is Fede Alvarez, who I don't like the Evil Dead remake. I don't like the Texas Chainsaw movie that he produced and lied about like crazy. We didn't have test screenings that went bad. You're full of shit. That's why the movie had to be sold to Netflix, because those test screenings went so bad. Netflix said, we'll give you $40 million. We'll give you your instant profit if you let us do the movie on Netflix. And they said sold, because they knew that the movie would bomb in the theater. That's why he sold it to Netflix. It is what it is. So with the track record, I'm hesitant, but with the trailer, I was kind of impressed. I really was. I can't lie to y'all. I will see Alien Romulus. I have higher hopes for it than I do for the last two Alien movies, at least. So Prometheus and Covenant. This is not really horror, but the Crow remake will come out the following week. I hope that bombs, and I think it's going to get universal hate. I really can't see that getting a good review because people already hate that movie already. That's just an untouchable. It shouldn't have barked up that tree. But we'll see. We'll see what Bill Skarsgård has to do. Not horror, but Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton coming back. That's cool. Speak No Evil remake coming out in September. I can't believe they're remaking this. This is a movie that came out 2 years ago. It does have my laddie from Stop Motion, Ezing Fraziosi. She's in the movie, as is James McAvoy. I like both of them as actors, but there's no reason to fucking remake Speak No Evil 2 years after the fucking original film. That's crazy to me. So I'm thinking that'll be for the birds. That seems to be it for September. In October, it's funny. I know the Saw movie was supposed to come out in October, but that got pushed back to 2025 now. So that's going to be a while. Let's see. Terrifier 3 is supposed to have a limited release in October, which is supposed to be Christmas themed. So I don't know why it wouldn't just hold off into December. I would probably, but I guess it's going to be limited there. Maybe get a little bit wider in December. I don't know. That's it for October as of right now. That's the only horror release, though, and it will be limited. It won't even be big. So that's crazy. The horror month has one limited horror movie being released. Let's see. You have something called Heretic with Hugh Grant. It's an A24 horror movie that I have not seen any previews for. Something called Werewolves. Something called Night Bitch, which that's a fucking funny ass title. And then moving into December, the last month, we got anything worth note here? The Nosferatu. There we go. Nosferatu, which is going to be, of course, the return for Robert Eggers to the horror genre. And I'm all for that because I really, The Lighthouse was his last horror movie. I thought that was really good. And then, of course, the Northman didn't do what they wanted to do financially, and thus he's coming back to the genre. I know it has good buddy Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's in the movie, as is Ralph Ineson. So that's interesting. I don't know. I really think that director is awesome. So I think I have high hopes for the Nosferatu movie. So that's the movies to come. But again, Alien is a reboot. Nosferatu is a remake. Like, I mean, you have a lot of stuff that's just already been done. So I don't know. That's the state of the genre, I suppose. I was looking forward to Romulus, but I've learned some things from a reliable source, and now I'm very curious. Okay, cautious. Okay, very cautious now. See, yeah, that could very well be. I could be thinking the trailer looks good and then walk in and hate it. That's very possible. I don't know. I guess from his track record, I'm worried, but from what I saw so far, I think it looks okay. And it looks like they've done it mostly practical. Don't like X, but Pearl is good. Mia Goth is the best part of Pearl. Yeah, Mia Goth's great. Mia Goth is great. I know they had the whole thing with this last movie, Maxine, where like there's a scene where she's running and she's supposed to like knock into something, and the actor was like, "Hey, you kicked me. Like, please go easier." And then she kicked him for real, and he sued her. It was a whole thing with Maxine. So I don't know what the status of that is. I don't know if he got a fat settlement. Pearl is good, but just totally unnecessary in my opinion. In all caps, Miss Carly, really feeling that one. Looking forward to Long Legs. Big fan of Pearl and X, and I loved The Innkeepers. I would think a House of the Devil too. No, a lot of people are looking forward to Maxine. I do think that's going to be one that a lot of people in the community go and see. I don't know if it's going to be a monster money hit, but it's going to make a little something. Poor Julian Sands. Yeah, that was terrible. That was really, really sad. Rest in peace. Good actor. The Marks are going to have a field day with Matt. Oh my God, it's going to be so. Oh, I can't. I'm not seeing it. I'm done. Like, I don't want to see any more Ty West movies. I really, really don't. Shamalama Ding Dong. Yeah. Hopefully Zack Snyder is done with his lame zombie sequels / offshoots. Well, nothing this year. Alien Romulus has something going for it. A little weary of it because of Fetty. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but other than the first two, that franchise is very mad. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't. That franchise just hasn't had steam in a long time, but maybe he'll figure it out. Hey, Synthetic, did you see that Danzig Western online somewhere? Ooh, okay. I know. Did you see the Danzig fucking anthology movie, Veronica? That was, wow. That was a different level of bad. Fuck the Crow remake. That's how everybody feels. Yeah. Death Rider is so bad. Undead of Night, yeah, it's really bad with no sound mix at all. Watch the Red Letter Media review, so funny. Undead, he didn't put any score in it. Oh my God. I wonder if the no music was a budget decision. Well, I don't know. Danzig, I like Danzig, but Jesus, man. I don't know. He's not a filmmaker at all. I removed the Crow movie from my memory and you put that thought back. Jesus Christ, leave the Crow alone. Yeah, really, honestly, leave it alone. I'd rather watch bad Alien sequel / prequel than many other bad / worse movies floating around. And that may be part of the problem with the whole like movies trying to be original. Nosferatu is something I'm really looking forward to, actually. I think that'll be good, too. I think Robert Eggers is just a pro. I think he's such a fucking good filmmaker that he will make a good movie there. I know I teased Bill. Well, maybe Bill will surprise. I don't know. I saw what may have been leaks to what he looks like in it. And if it is, it is hysterical because it looks like Cody Rhodes is Stardust. Like, if the pictures that I've seen are real, it literally looks like it's fucking Skarsgård. Like, it literally looks like fucking Bill Skarsgård dressed up as fucking Cody Rhodes when he was Stardust. So I hope they're fake, though. I really do. Let's see. Undead of Night seems to have no budget. That's possible. But Dan's fucking musician. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Show exactly really bad. Fred Armisen has a funny cameo. Veronica's hilarious. Grande Romulus isn't a reboot. It's set. That's right. It's a sidequel. Sorry. The station it's set on has made 2 modules. Romulus has the old aesthetic of Alien, while Remus has the aesthetic of Aliens. Okay, that's fair enough. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it almost looks like it could work because they're going to go back to the kind of theme of the first movie, just skeleton crew getting picked off one by one and as practical as it could be. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. I know that's Mernzi's number one most anticipated. I would say for me, Nosferatu. I think that's the most anticipated, I say, for the second half of the year. And that's going to be the last week of the year. So we have a long way to go. That, and I would say Long Legs. Those are the two that I'm very much looking forward to the most. I think most would say probably Maxine and Alien Romulus, which is totally, I think Alien Romulus could surprise. So we will see, though. We will see. Yeah, this has been fun talking about some of the movies I've seen, not full-on reviews, very different graveyard. I honestly felt weird recording this one. I don't know how this one will land. So sorry if this was not the greatest episode, but tried something different. We'll see how it lands. We'll see if it draws money at the box office or not. Next week, we will do our Fulci Fan Week episode where we have a ton of guests on. We may have the most people ever in a single Grande's Graveyard stream that we ever have. I'm not sure. I have to talk to Will and Jeff as far as I've been trying to get with them on the format, so we're going to talk about that. Celebrating old Lucio Fulci, going to be very fun to any Fulci fans out there. So next week, we get our Fulci Fan Fun Week on. And then, of course, the following week, we'll be doing, I think it's After Dark Horror Fest, 8 Films to Die For, year number 2. So that's going to be very fun. Some closing comments. Only 2 great shows in a row. Thank you so much. Good stuff. Thank you for the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if this one hit the same, but I tried something different. So it is what it is. Everybody, if you're catching the replay, comment down below. Let me know your top favorite horror movie of this year so far, the horror movie you're looking forward to so most, and also what you thought was some of the biggest shit and the worst stuff of the year. So far, worst horror movie of the year. I don't know. I would say Abigail is the one that frustrated me the most, but I don't know if on a technical level it's worse than like Strangers 1 or Night Swim. I don't know. It's close. There's quite a few stinkers and probably ones that I have. The In a Violent Nature, I think, is just going to piss me off when I see it. So maybe it's that. I have no idea. Awesome show. You only threw a minor fit over one movie. No ranting. This was just more of a like brief kind of skim over these movies. Fulci eyeball, hell yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time. Only on the Graveyard. 2 Sweet Peas. Good night, everybody. Cheers.